Hello, everybody. What's up? Thought we'd go with a rare cool tone color palette today. Deviate from the usual reds, oranges, and yellows. What's up? Crop top yet? It doesn't arrive in one day. Want to see a lettuce at CPAC? I get it. I get it. I get your clever little joke. I understand what you're on about.
Now, in Britain, we are one of the few countries that still...
Now, this is what the American conservative movement needs to revitalize itself. This is the hard-hitting, popular right-wing figure that will inject energy into this party.
...have a conservative government. But the left did not accept that they'd lost at the ballot box. Instead, they've been weaponizing our court system to stop us deporting illegal immigrants. They've been using the administrative state.
Remember how I've said so many times that fascism is the most globalist ideology because it spreads primarily through the interests of the bourgeoisie, and the bourgeoisie have the easiest time communicating their capital and ideological interests? Notice how, like, she just effortlessly shifts into right-wing talking points. The administrative state? Pardon me, Brits, can you tell me, is that a term you guys use across the pond? I know that's like a global term, like the administrative state is a general term, but I've never heard a British person say the administrative state when talking about, like, the left controlling the UK or whatever.
To make sure that conservative policies are thwarted.
No, it's called the civil service in the UK. Yeah, it's just like, and the way she's talking about election interference, it's remarkable how, like, easily conservatives shift, you know? American cultural hegemony, let's go. We really are the source of everything wrong.
And they've been pushing their woke agenda through our schools, through our campuses, and even in our corporations. Now, I thought that companies in the free market...
How do people even respect her? Well, nobody does, but I think what they're betting on is that the average American has no fucking idea how unpopular she is in the UK, right? Like, CPAC is about, you know, American conservatives. Sponsored by Rumble.
Meant to be about giving people jobs, giving people opportunities, making money, making profits, creating wealth for our country. But no, we've got a new kind of economics now in the West. It's called wokenomics.
I can't do this. Man, right off the bat, right in the morning, I can't do this first thing. Get me out of here. Get me out of here. I was going to cover some of the CPAC stuff later, but I did see that apparently Thirsty for Views, the CPAC broadcast that infamous, what was it, 2017 DSA conference from Atlanta?
Guys, first of all, James Jackson, Sacramento, he, him.
Was this shown at the DSA? This has the Daily Caller mark on the top right. I don't know if this was shown at the... sorry, was this shown at CPAC, or was this just, like, recently reincorporated? I'm not sure. 2019, not 2017?
Quick point of personal privilege.
Yes.
Guys, first of all, James Jackson, Sacramento, he, him. I just want to say, can we please keep the chatter to a minimum? I'm one of the people who's very, very prone to sensory overload. There's a lot of whispering and chatter going on. It's making it very difficult for me to focus. Please, can we just, I know we're all fresh and ready to go, but can we...
Okay, leaving aside the laughing at the DSA thing, which is fine, you know. You know how fascists do the whole "our enemy is both strong and weak" thing? So, like, the Daily Caller has to treat the left like they're a bunch of lunatic Antifa, like, property-destroying terrorists who burn cities down. But also, it's like, well, they're actually a bunch of, like, weak snowflakes, you know? They shift back and forth as needed.
Just keep the chatter to a minimum. It's affecting my ability to focus. Thank you.
Thank you, comrade.
This is so old. I literally just said it's from 2019. Why does there are people in chat saying this is old, this is old? Yeah, what do you think? Did you think 2019 was some kind of, like, code word, or like a serial number referring to how many DSA meetings there have been, or did you think I was referring to the date?
Okay, is there a speaker against name, chapter, pronouns?
Point of personal privilege.
Yes.
Please do not use gendered language to address everyone.
You know what? I think, wait, I can't say that person's a king, can I? Well, I think that person is a non-gendered monarch. You know what? Go off. Hell yeah. I'm coming around on this, okay? Absolutely. Absolutely. This is another one of those, like, IRL GTA moments. You know what I mean? Where you can't tell if the world is doing a bit.
Okay.
Quick point of privilege once again. Quick point of privilege once again. Hi, James Jackson, Sacramento DSA, he, him. I have already asked people to be mindful of the chatter of their comrades who are sensitive to sensory overload, and that goes double for the heckling and the hissing.
How can the Daily Caller reconcile this with their depiction of American socialists as like crazy city-burning Black Lives Matter rioter types, you know? How do they parse that? It really is a wonder, yeah. This is 7 out of 10 leftist campus groups. Well, they're not usually this bad, but yeah.
It is also triggering to my anxiety. Like, the be comradely isn't just for, like, you know, let's keep things civil or whatever. It's so that people aren't going to get triggered and so that it doesn't affect their performance.
These people are awesome, dude. How do you have anxiety issues but also have the stones to get up to the mic in front of the crowd and chastise everyone? Like, I don't really have anxiety, and I wouldn't want to get in front of the mic to chastise everyone. You know, like, I wouldn't do that. I think even if I wanted to, I'd be too embarrassed. So maybe, I don't know, maybe these people are more confident than we could ever fathom. Maybe we're just getting styled on right now, you know?
As a delegate, okay? Your need to express yourself is important, but your need to express yourself should not trump or over, like...
I see that no one's clapping for me. It could be because I'm not...
This is such a, like... I have photos from the Spanish Civil War pinned up, like, in my bedroom, and I use it as, like, inspo every day I wake up, you know? This is such a fucking... classic fit. I could see you wearing that. No, it's a good fit. Like, I mean, it's very, like, LARPy, but it's a good fit, you know? I mean, it looks good. Wait, is this still CPAC? Yes, these are all conservatives.
Not engaging, but it also is because everyone's doing this, and that's really important because those loud bursts of noise, even though this is a noisy space, when we can do something like reducing that, that's really important. So please don't clap, shoot up these.
Look at this poor guy sitting here on the side. This guy's been a union organizer since like 1998 or something. And he's like, damn, we're not going to make it.
We have a lot of disabled comrades, and a lot of those are invisible disabilities. You don't know who it is that is having a more difficult time navigating this space, and this space was not created with all of their needs in mind. So it's up to us to modify that space to make sure that...
I don't know, man. I've met some insane old people in DSA. Yeah, like Bob Avakian cultists or whatever, yeah.
Everybody is able to move in the ways that they need to move. And additionally with the noise issue, like avoid hissing, avoid waving banners, right? Because there's all sorts of things. If you don't know what to do, show up these, right? I'm sure there's lots of ways that we can communicate.
It's like kindergarten. It's like everyone's in the auditorium hall in elementary school, and the teacher's like giving them kind of guidelines on how to behave. Do they go through this song and spiel every week? No. This was like an especially embarrassing incident. This is the one DSA meeting that everyone knows about because it got so infamous. Which is part of my issue with the DSA, right? The fact that it's decentralized and doesn't have much control over how it operates means that any like specific embarrassing thing that happens, even if it's not at all the majority of things that happen, get kind of drawn out and made, you know, the center of attention. Wait, Vosh, is this real? It's real. Yeah.
To each other without needing to rely on something that's going to hurt somebody else. We have quiet rooms that are available. There's a range of options of these, right? Please don't go into that space with anything that's like an aggressive scent, for
That's crazy, dog. Yeah, entering the quiet room to rip a fat one. Facetious, thank you for the 25 tier 1 subs, man, you know? Nothing like this to remind you all why I exist in the left, I guess, and why I am the way I am. And this is why I left the left. In fairness, this was like an especially embarrassing incident. The reason why I've advocated people join the DSA before is to make it less like that, you know what I mean? The problem is that, like, a bunch of people in the DSA don't actually do activism. They just want like a core social space, and social spaces, generally speaking, are supposed to be comfortable. And, you know, the desire for comfort and the desire to do activism are two, like, basically like mutually exclusive. Like they're two directions to push in that are going to lead you in opposite paths. So yeah. They want to talk about communist theory no one's given a fuck about for decades. Well, that's just leftism broadly. You know, they love doing that shit. I think that all political spaces should have a designated loud room and a designated quiet room, so you can alternate between them as your mood shifts. Like if you go nonverbal at the function, you can chill out in the quiet room, but then if you want to, like, I don't know, scream into a pillow, you can do it in the loud room. Just sort of shift back and forth. I want a designated aggressive scent room. Yeah, anytime you have to blast one, you have to go in there. If somebody comes over and they're wearing too much, like, Axe body spray, they just have to stay in there until they get, like, fumigated, basically. Can we talk about this live action ATLA clip, Vosh? I can't really show this because of copyright. Like, I'll get nuked immediately for this. I've seen a few clips from the Avatar: The Last Airbender show, and whoo boy, whoo boy, whoo boy is how I feel about that. Whoo, whoo, that's whoo, yeah. No, I did not see One Piece live action. Some offline chatters watched it last night and it was rough. Yep. Maybe some things should stick to animation. Just maybe. Or at least put a unique spin on it if you're doing remakes in a different medium. Yeah, yeah, like cater to the, you know, the good of the medium. My nose itches. Yeah, we'll talk about that, K-Comrade Robin Hood. I thought the One Piece live action wasn't actually that bad. I've heard people say positive stuff about it. The CGI is so incredibly dog shit. It looks like a mid-budget movie from the late 2000s. Yeah, no amount of good CGI is ever going to make that kind of thing work in live action. I'm really, really sorry. Like, and the amount of work that it would take to make convincing, like, anime battle magic shit look good in real life when it's as over the top as it is in Avatar: The Last Airbender, it would require an ungodly amount of money. It doesn't matter how good 3D animation gets, it'll always take a bunch of work. Like, there's no getting around that. It's prohibitive in a time and budget sense. So it's not suited for the medium, you know? There are things you can do really well in live action. Like for free. Like character acting, you know? It was mostly practical with makeup. Well, it looks like shit. Oh, nice, Tron Panda. Jesus. Also, Ang with eyebrows bothers me. Ah, okay. I saw this. I saw this on Twitter, and then I thought, oh, are we going to look at this on Twitter? And then I saw it on Reddit when I checked my subreddit, right at the top. And the Women Being Awful Twitter account. My favorite Twitter account, mind you. You know, we're oomfies. Big friends. Man sends wife a spreadsheet of all the times she denied him sex. This is like a crusty-ass chain email type post right here. Look, date 2014, literally a decade ago. You know, this has probably been circulated around the internet, this screenshot, like 5 million times, you know? 2014. What country uses year, then month, then day, right? Who does that? That's ISO standard? Oh, I thought standard was day, then month, then year. Okay, whatever. Okay. Yeah, year, month, day is a universal standard. Oh, okay. All right. I don't know. I don't mind me. I mean, I value the objective superiority of the extremely rational month, day, year American setup, but you know, whatever. Anyway, I guess the guy who made this was a computer. I like the formatting here. Dates. It's like every day, basically. Sex? No, 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 no. Yes. No, 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 no. Yes? This is an accountant move. Maybe that's why he's not getting pussy. The fact that it's in Excel makes it more psychotic. Yeah, well, there you go. Accountant shit, right? Why is he asking every day? Yeah, why wouldn't he ask like twice a day? Once a day? What a fucking dickless wonder over here. Jesus. Excuse. I'm watching the show. Friends rerun. Oof. I feel sweaty and gross. I need a shower. Didn't shower till next morning. Listen, I'm going to come down with a hard rule here, okay? If feeling sweaty and gross is something that your partner feels makes sex less interesting to them, you got to get yourself a new partner, okay? Okay? That's a skill issue right there. Oh, you're sweaty and gross? That's crazy. Wow, really? Oh, wow, you just worked out? You just came back from a run? Oh, that's crazy. No, oh, man, wow. Wait, so we side with the man now? Hell yeah, brother. Non-verbal. What is this Tumblr shit? I'm exhausted. Who gets tired? No, whatever. It's psycho shit. Not to defend the schizo behavior, but I genuinely feel bad for the guy. Well, okay, leaving aside the whole, like, crunchy internet chain email thing and taking this at face value, like, taking this sincerely, I guess, there's nothing... Okay, I'm gonna hit you all with a crazy take, okay? It's actually okay for your partner to not want to have sex with you. That being said, I don't think I would enjoy being told no over and over and over again like this. This is clearly a mismatch in sex drive or in sexual interest. So that kind of sucks for everyone, right? Like, if the implication here is that the woman is in the wrong because it's wrong to turn the guy down, then that's wrong. But if the implication is just the guy is cataloging this to indicate how significant the gap is in their sex interest, then that's fine. Like, if the point of making the chart is to demonstrate like a mismatch in their interest, then that's like, okay, then a point's being made, you know? Still psycho shit to make a chart, IMO? I mean, maybe it would be like if you were married to someone for years and you felt like it was a consistent issue and you wanted to like catalog it because you wanted to like point it and go, hey, like this is how it makes me feel. I can see like, I can see a reason for the chart being made that is charitable, but like obviously the way it's used and posted from the Women Being Awful Twitter account, I'm going to go ahead and guess that regardless of the original context, the overall context in which this is presented is probably not good. There's people in the replies literally saying it should be illegal for women to turn down their husbands. I mean, yeah, as long as we're equal about it, like as long as like men can't turn me down when I flirt with them too, right? You know? Like I'm at the straight bar and I like make a mild pass at a guy next to me and it's like, "Nope, sorry, it's law now," you know? You have to be consistent. What are you going to do? Call the police because she isn't fucking you? Well, Hertzberg, I think the implication is that they would rape her and then like not be arrested for it. Like that, I think that's the implication. By the way, that was law basically everywhere for like most of history, and in the United States, in like up until like the what 80s or something, like up until basically the beginning of my lifetime, there was at least one state. Was it the 70s? Okay, 70s. I think in one state it persisted up until like 92 or something, but for the most part it was like 70s. Anyway, the marriage exception for rape. But it's funnier to consider a man cries calling the police to report his wife not fucking him. I mean, they would literally have to do stuff like that back when, before no-fault divorce was a thing. Back when you needed to have a, like, court-sanctioned reason to divorce. Like, sometimes you would get that where guys would, usually guys, I'm sure at least once it happened with a girl, but like they would literally say like, yeah, my partner won't put out, like this marriage isn't working or something. It was actually pretty common. I say pretty common, like it wasn't like a fucking daily occurrence or whatever, but it was known to happen where back in the days before no-fault divorce, if a husband and wife just didn't get along but mutually wanted to split, they would arrange for the guy to have an affair and for the wife to find out about it. Like they would agree on it beforehand so they could go to the court and be like, I caught my husband committing adultery, like this is grounds for divorce. But they would have both like worked it out beforehand. There are still like 10 states that have different statutes for marital rape versus non-marital rape. Jesus. Yeah, look, marital rape in the United States, 1970s, change begins. Cool. In the United States, prior to the mid-70s, marital rape was exempted from ordinary rape laws. Yep, all the way up to 1993. And then I was born in 94, of course. You know, I refused to enter this world until we had finally achieved feminism. We're all screwed because we're the first generation to widely value consent and autonomy. I mean, like, there's definitely been a cultural shift, yeah. A huge amount of the modern reactionary movement does just seem to be straight guys being upset they have to try to get a wife now. Like, women are, with respect, I don't want to gas them up too much because women are really annoying, but women are, let's be clear here, delightful and very pretty. You know, I'm talking averages. Just a delight to be around, just charms, you know? And a lot of that is because they're socialized to behave certain ways, and a lot of that is because they put the effort in. And a lot of guys are, let's be fair, I'm averaging this here, disgusting, grungy wretches. And there's nothing inherent about that. There's nothing, like, innate that makes guys more like that than girls. A lot of it's just socialization and trying and stuff like that, you know? It's not just how it is. It doesn't have to be that way. But in an environment where a lot of girls try a lot, and a lot of guys think that the only thing they have to do to make themselves valuable is to have a big income, especially in a world where women are getting larger and larger incomes. Like it used to be for the longest time, the only thing you had to do as a guy to get a guaranteed like baddie wife who will raise your children is to have money, because women can't make money on their own basically unless they're prostitutes, and that comes with its own range of issues. So they need the money. So it's like a, you know, very unequal relationship. But now that guys and girls both make money, you know, like guys have to be, I don't know, kind of charming, and I think a lot of guys just don't like that. You know, I think a lot of guys just don't like the social expectation that they have to try a little bit harder. I'm generalizing. There are plenty of wonderful, wonderful men. And cute ones. And NBs? I didn't say anything about NBs. Let's not get ahead of ourselves, okay? Say something nice about NBs. They have bold hairstyles and clothes. Interesting preferences. They have cool hobbies. I'm sorry, chat. I'm fucking with you. I know like 50 NB people. I'm sorry. I mean, everything that I said stands, so, you know. Quickly, name one non-binary person. Hitler. I want to see these excuses. I'm exhausted. And then after the yes, we get a no. I'm still a bit tender from yesterday. Damn, homie went hard. Non-verbal. I'm trying to watch the movie, fell asleep 15 minutes later. Wouldn't that just mean she's tired? Like, that seems like a valid excuse. I'm too drunk and I ate too much. Do you guys want to know, and like, the actual, like, top fucking secret to having good sex? I'm not kidding, okay? Manage your eating. Don't eat that much. You can eat after you fuck. Like, unironically, there's nothing like depreciates sex than having like a pound of food in your body, okay? It makes you sleepy and heavy and unwieldy. Being drunk is fine though. As long as you're both consenting. I won't have time to get showered and get ready for dinner. We were 20 minutes early. Wait. I won't have time to get showered and ready for dinner. We were 20 minutes early. Is that really an excuse? Really? If I was running on a margin where I would arrive 20 minutes early to a dinner, I wouldn't want to have sex before then either. I don't, like, you can have a quickie in 20 minutes, sure, but like, I don't know if I want the time, like maybe in a specific environment, sure, but like, we're about to go out to dinner, you know? Like, I mean, I don't think that's an invalid excuse. I just came back from the gym. I feel gross. Didn't shower until next morning. Like I said, skill issue. Nonverbal. I have to be up early. Nonverbal. Yes! You're too drunk. I feel... Oh, man. I feel like this reflects really poorly on the guy. If I was ever making moves on my fucking wife, and she said, no, I don't want to fuck because you're too drunk... What does that imply? Like, is homie like blackout drunk? Is he actually like fucking zooted? Like what? Or is it like a behavioral thing? You know what I mean? Like that. I don't know. That would make me feel pretty bad. But it also like kind of reflects poorly on him, right? I guess it doesn't necessarily, but it feels like it does. I feel gross. I'm not feeling good. I ate too much. This is the most valid reason to not have sex. I ate too much. I'm sweaty and gross and I'm tired, nonverbal. I might be getting sick. I still don't feel 100%. I need a shower to feel gross. I'm too tired. Yes! No, nonverbal. I'm watching my show. Don't want to miss anything. Not a lot of variety in these excuses, I have to say. Biden said the key to a long-lasting marriage is good sex. Yeah, I saw that too. Biden, 81, says the key to his long marriage is good sex. How Joe infuriates Jill, his wife of 47 years, with very risque joke to staff about their private life, even though they aren't shy about it. Nice. That's cute. I fully believe that Joe Biden could lay it down. You know? Just as everyone suspected, Joe Biden says the key to his great marriage is lots and lots of hot geriatric voting. The seething incel non-sex haver, when confronted by the Chad geriatric Democrat president. This is some LBJ shit. Yeah, he is Hunter's father, after all. Excellent feast or mid-sex, what is better? Excellent feast. People, nothing to me is cringier than when people do that thing where they're like, there's no such thing as bad sex. Like, even bad sex still good. Yeah, of course there's such thing as bad sex. If you believe that, you just have either low standards for sex, you haven't had a lot of sex, or you've just lucked out and never had sex with someone who was just, like, boring or a bad lay or whatever. Yeah, fully, like, a great feast over mid-sex any day. Now, a great feast or great sex, then sure, sex, probably. I mean, maybe if I'm really hungry, but, you know, it's... Why not both? Because it was an either or. Depends what's in the feast. Yeah, that's true. Isn't it crazy how low the birth rates are in Japan, in spite of the fact that sushi is literally like the best food to stuff yourself on if you're going to fuck later, because sushi is relatively light, you know? You'd think if anything they would have like the biggest advantage, because it'd be like, oh yeah, I just had a meal, but it was like, you know, raw fish and rice. So actually I'm like I'm ready to go, you know? They have lots of light foods, yeah. Mm-hmm. You know, that's one of the reasons why people in Japan are so skinny. Not just Japan, but like Southeast Asia in general. Just like rice and fish and the general like diets they tend to eat. I mean, if you compare the food that you eat when you visit Japan to the food that you'll eat in America, like what's available and what you tend to have, holy shit, you know? Especially the American South. Like you will be so much fatter and heavier and more tired in the American South than you will be if you're just like eating the cuisine over in Southeast Asia. I'm speaking generally, but you know. It does seem to be a less bloaty diet. I mean, yeah, you know. Japanese food is crazy salty, though. It can be. I mean, if you dump everything, like if you dump soy sauce and everything, which I do, so yeah, but yeah. It's also part of their culture. Minimal eating is part of Confucianism. Eat until 80% full. Yeah, but that's a good thing. That bullshit. This is a bad lesson. The whole like eat until there's no more food on your plate, that's like a bad habit to set with kids. You know, you shouldn't do that. The whole like eat until you're uncomfortable, I would be willing to bet that a significant number of people in chat, when they have meals, have literally conditioned themselves to make themselves unhappy with how much they eat because they overeat like constantly. Like when they go to a restaurant, you'll have a big meal and you eat like 60% of it and feel really good and like full, but then you're like, oh, but it's such good food. And then you eat like 80 or 100% and then you feel like sick. And it's like, oh, why didn't I stop? But you do it every time. And it's because you're socially conditioned to go like, oh, don't want to waste the food. Leaving aside the whole like make leftovers later thing. It's a really like self-destructive habit. You have to train yourself. Like the whole point, we're not like fighting for every calorie here. If you're eating at a restaurant, it's because you're enjoying the food, right? Like at least I hope so. So if you're at a soup kitchen, then sure, fill up. But if you're eating at a restaurant, the point there is to have a good time. So don't eat past the point where you're comfortable, and eat slowly, for God's sake. If you eat crazy quick, your brain doesn't have time to tell you whether or not you're full. So like you end up being more full than you intended, you know? Be chill. I had food insecurity growing up, so I have a hard time not gobbling shit up. Yeah, I get it. I know it can be like a response thing, but it's better for you to have like, you know, some care there. This doesn't apply to Japan, though. It's rude to leave the food in your plate at a Japanese restaurant and the cooks will get offended. Who gives a fuck? What? Don't hurt yourself because of some stupid like cultural custom. That's bullshit. Oh, you're mad that I ate until I was full and then didn't eat anymore? Die mad. I don't know. What the fuck? Sorry. Go to a different restaurant. Just make everyone mad. You have any idea how many fucking sushi bars there are in Tokyo? Trust me, you'll never run out. Make 3 chefs a day mad and you will never run out. You will die before you run out of new sushi chefs to anger, okay? Keep at it. Be notorious, okay? I prefer Blistex to Burt's Bees by a lot, Vief. Don't listen to that weeb as a Japanese person. The person's just soying out. Yeah, that's also kind of like an Orientalist thing, right? Where it's like, oh, over in the Far East, like they have a strong cultural preference to this or that. Where it's like over here in America, we have a lot of like social habits and cultural biases and stuff. But if a foreigner doesn't perfectly respect those, we usually just think, oh, okay, like. For the most part, you know, if you're a tolerant person, if somebody who's clearly a tourist or a foreigner or an immigrant or whatever does something that's like a little like off socially in terms of like decorum, we don't usually think like, hey, what was that? Like usually it's like, oh, okay, well, they're a foreigner, you know, which is like fine, you know. By the way, I've been drinking a lot of water to fill up for my hunger. Well, make sure you get your calories. But yeah, people don't drink enough water. Please do drink enough water. Water is one of the very, very, very few things that it's almost impossible to have so much of that you hurt yourself. You can die of water poisoning. If you flush your body with too much water, the kidneys can't process all of it into urine, and it actually like over dilutes the stuff that goes into your blood, and you can cause like issues and die. But that's like extreme. That's like you're chugging gallons and gallons of water. Like you can't drink that much water unless you are like deliberately pushing yourself beyond every physical limit. For the most part, you can drink as much water as you want, and you will be fine. Basically, any other thing, minerals, vitamins, food, spices, whatever, you have too much of it or too little of it, and you can hurt yourself. But with water, you know, you can keep at it. I'm sure this is why poor people are often overweight too. Well, it's also like lack of time to exercise, and they tend to have access to lower quality food. Yeah, if you drink like a gallon in under 2 hours, you get water poisoning. When I say drink a lot of water, I mean like if you can go through this, how much is this again? 2.5 liters. Yeah, 2.5 liters. If you can go through 2.5 liters of water in a day, you're probably okay. Like you can go more too, but 2.5 liters in a day, like okay, yeah, sure. Just you know, fill a big thing up and then try to go all the way down. Yeah, it's a good amount of water. You'll be okay. Makes you pee a lot? Well, sure, but that's fine. That 2.5 liters needs to be spread throughout the day. Yeah. Of course, you just drink it throughout the. I'm not saying like don't drink for 8 hours, then realize and like drink the whole thing or whatever. But you know, like yeah, it's good. I have about 5 pints of water a day. Pint 2 liter. Oh yeah. So that's that. That's 5 pints. Okay, yeah. More or less. What the fuck is a pint? I don't. Nobody knows. Nobody knows what a pint is. Okay. No human. We have yet to discover. Okay, it's an ancient term that we don't understand. That's awesome, Oscar Carver. I've gone through 3 2-liter bottles in a day. Whoo, that's a lot. But it was also back when I was working and profusely sweating. Yeah. Obviously, if you're like working outside in a hot climate, like you might go through a fuck ton of water, if you can, and sweat through a lot of it. Isn't it better to drink only if you feel thirsty? Well, the problem is that people who are mentally ill, which includes all like internet politics people, so all of you, often have a difficult time when it comes to like managing their body's needs, you know? So you'll just sit at the computer for 6 hours not doing anything because you're really focused on something, and then you'll realize like, oh, I haven't peed or eaten or drank. So like the signals that your brain sends to indicate that you should be doing more of this or less of this, they're very fallible and easily ignored in a lot of cases. So I think that it's good to have a basic rule for something as simple as water, where it's just like, yeah, I will have like a big thing of water a day, and that, you know, like, it's not perfect. Maybe I have a little more or less. It's not like a hard rule or whatever, but you know, it's just a general thing to think about. And obviously, if you're thirsty, you should drink, like, of course. But if you're like, feel like bloated and full, don't go like, ah, well, I still need one more pint of water. Like, you know, like, be sensible. Five minutes of walk a day, or 5 minutes of walking a day, Chicano Ots, is probably more and better exercise than the average American gets. Like, by a significant amount, too. That's sad. Well, ain't no way. Hey, man, listen, okay? I live here in America. I know what it's like. Swimming is great exercise. Yeah, but who can swim, right? Like, pretty limited. Is it possible to drink too much tea? Yeah, any amount of tea is too much. Drink coffee like an adult. But also don't drink too much of that. Really, honest to, I think like the drink that you drink more than any other should be water. Like, I get shit for my caffeine intake, but I have 1 cup of coffee a day and a 5-hour energy, you know, which isn't that much liquid. The drink you drink should be water, okay? That's the drink that your body is designed to have. Like, if you're always drinking soda or tea or coffee, like, that's the main thing you're lining, that's a fucking problem. I have known people who are, like, feel weird drinking water. You're gonna fucking die. Like, I know you're living that high right now, but you're going to develop kidney stones. You're going to have like fucking ulcers. Something's going to go wrong with you, okay? The water is literally like the building block of life. It is the universal solvent that allows your body to carry resources in the blood. Like, you can't not have the water. You need the fucking water. What about milk? I said water. You can drink other things too, but the main drink you have should be water. Have you seen that thing where it's like the water bottle infuse flavor? I've been seeing some YouTubers shill for it, where it's like, is regular water too boring for you? Get these like flavor packs so that you can infuse your water with you know, fucking flavor. What the fuck is wrong with you? It is water, my dude. It's water. It's like 70%, is it air up? Is that what it's called? It's 70% of your body. Or whatever they say the number is. It probably varies. It's crazy. Yeah, like infusing your water. Just drink the fucking water. What's wrong with water? Just drink it. It doesn't taste bad. It's water. There's nothing wrong with doing that. Your body still absorbs the water in there. Yeah, but I think it's indicative of, I don't know if I'm like, am I critiquing hedonism right now? I feel like, I feel like you should be able to drink water. I feel like you should be able to just drink water. I don't know. I'm sorry. I don't know. I feel like a bunch of people just become soda addicts when they're like 12 years old and they're trying to work that off. You know, I never got into soda. I hate soda. Well, I don't hate it. I'll have a tiny bit of Sprite with like a cocktail or something, but you know, like for the most part, if I'm having like a drink to hydrate myself, that shit is water, you know? You're talking to a generation that was offered Sprite as the healthy option by their parents? Yeah, I guess so. I mean, you can do tea or something. Well, you don't want to have too much tea or coffee, not just for like caffeine or whatever, but can tea also do kidney stones? Wait, tea, kidney stone. Is that also a tea thing? Tea and coffee in moderation are not a problem. While tea and coffee do contain some oxalate, the extra fluid outweighs any possible disadvantage. Some studies suggest drinking moderate amounts of tea and coffee can lower the risk of kidney stones. Oh, okay. Maybe you can drink a lot of tea. But you still have to be careful about the caffeine. Too much caffeine is bad for you. That's good though. You do want to be careful about soda though. You really don't want kidney stones. Do you think cavemen didn't put things in their water to make it taste better, like making soups? I don't really think of soup as flavoring water. I don't know what type of soup you're having. That's just not how I... Maybe this is an arbitrary categorization, but that's not generally how I think of it. Yeah. What about caffeine? Why are you asking me? I don't know anything about tea. I don't like tea. Vosh, one of my mother's friends, has a son that exclusively drank soda for most of his life. He's in the hospital now, and both kidneys failed. Holy shit. That's awful. Like from calcite buildup? Like from the crystals? Or Jesus, yeah. Can it be fixed? You can fix kidney failure sometimes. Like the kidneys get clogged up with the crystals. I think it's like it's calcite crystals, right? Where basically like your kidneys are meant to filter your blood to produce urine to get like excess liquid out through your stomach and digestive tract and blah blah. And the stuff in soda can cause like it can form like crystal structures in your kidney, and if too much of it forms and it like breaks up, basically you've got a bunch of like shards of crystal glass floating around in your kidneys, and it like cuts up the kidneys from the inside and it destroys their ability to filter, and you don't realize it's happening until you're like dying, because when your kidneys can't filter anymore, you just like either don't pee at all or you pee like nothing, but you're not filtering the toxins, so your blood just fills with more poison. And over time, like your blood gets backed up with more and more and more and more like of all the toxins that flood it, you know, which if you drink a ton of soda, like your kidney's not filtering it anymore, so you're, you know, it backs up and you know, it'll get you pretty quick. That's what kidney failure does in all cases. It's what happened to Danil. It's what happens to everyone who has kidney failure. Something prevents it from filtering poison out of the blood. There is zero evidence that soda causes kidney stones. What? High consumption of sugar-sweetened soda was associated with a higher incidence of kidney stones, which may be because of the fructose content. Dark cola beverages, artificial... Oh, you're saying it's the sugar thing and not the carbonation thing. Yeah, like soda is really, really, really sugary. Sweet tea, stuff like that. Yeah. Sorry, when I say soda, what I'm talking about, I guess, is like really like unhealthy sugary drink. Not just like the... Yeah, sorry. I should be more clear there, yeah. Like, I'm pretty sure that carbonated water, like fizzy water, I'm pretty sure that doesn't do anything kidney stone wise. Like that's literally just carbon dioxide. That's not, you know, you've got that inside of you already. Why diet sodas don't work? Well, apart from the fact that they taste bad, I don't really know. I've never had a diet soda once in my life. I hear they taste bad, you know. I've heard a bunch of ice cream can cause kidney stones as well. Well, sugar, right? I mean, you know, we eat way more sugar than our bodies are designed to process. If you think about like all of the biologically, humans can process more food than almost any other animal because we're intelligent foraging, hunting omnivores. Like that's the reason why dogs die if they have chocolate or whatever. Like different animals process different food. We can process a fuck ton of food. We're very good at it. We've got a lot of gut bacteria. We've evolved to be like very efficient because we need a bunch of calories because our brain uses so many calories. But if you think of like what we were meant to have, I'm really sorry, guys. Pre-modern humans didn't have much sugar. There are natural sugars that form in like, you know, fruits and a bunch of different stuff. But like compared to what we can access today, not even remotely close. Like we have many times more. They had honey. Yeah. Oh, sure. They had honey. But again, in terms of like how much sugar people had back then compared to today, not even fucking comparable. Like not even remotely close. Whereas in terms of like fat, protein, carbohydrates or whatever, more comparable. We have more carbs today than then, but in terms of fat and protein, pretty comparable, like roughly. And carbs, you know, we started like farming and stuff, you know, whatever. You know what I mean? You also think it's weird if someone exclusively drinks sparkling water? Yeah, I do. I don't know. I think that like being able to drink normal water is like a marker for a human being. You know what I mean? I would feel weird if rats started getting like addicted to sparkling water too, if that makes any sense. Like if there were rats in a lab and it was like, yeah, we've trained our rats to prefer sparkling water to regular water, even though it doesn't affect them in any way, it's totally fine. I would still think like, you know, like it's literally like the building block of life. I don't know how Yeah, carbs aren't very good for us, Archwave, at least not in the quantities that we have it now. Not that I'm advocating any keto shit. Those people are insane. Fad diets don't work. None of them do. The like selective fasting thing, the like mini fasting, keto, whatever else, it's all bullshit. It's calories in, calories out, manage your macros, try to maintain a healthy and active lifestyle. That's it. That's it. That's it. You know? If you have like a specific medical consideration that means you need to have more or less of a given nutrient or whatever else, like then yeah, sure, like it varies person to person, but the idea of like, oh, the secret to fitness is like this specific thing or whatever is bullshit. Like it always has been bullshit. Wait, can you stand up and give us a view of your jacket? Oh. Cute, no? I got it off Etsy. I'm afraid I don't remember the store. You might be able to find it, though. Just look up, like, Japanese bomber jacket or something. I've had it for a while. Does it fit? Yeah. I mean, I think so. Enough of that. Where's the politics? This is politics. Diet and food culture are really, really politicized, which is why fitness is like a big, you know, like advocacy ground for the right. You know, there's nothing wrong with fitness, obviously, but the desire to be like some kind of Paleolithic Ultraman is a consistent trend in a lot of reactionary movements. BMI has about a 70 to 80% correlation to genetic factors. Okay, there are very heavy genetic influences to stuff like weight loss, health, fat distribution, stuff like that. That is definitely 100% true. I'm not denying it. But all of these things fit into the calculations, right? Like genetic factors can influence the speed at which you process nutrients or what you need or what you don't need. But ultimately, the calories in, calories out thing is a like thermodynamic law. You know, like your body can't make something from nothing. So the main consideration is like, how do you do it? And also never shame people for being for having a harder time losing weight than other people. Okay, like think about it. The cravings that you feel for food, that's like an individual thing. For some people, eating less than their body needs to survive is like relatively easy because they can overlook it. This is the case for me. I'm a large person and I can eat 1,800 calories a day without much fuss. I'm hungry, sure, but it really doesn't tear me up too much. But I remember how hungry I was back when I was like 20, you know? And there are like people who just are hungrier, not that their body needs more food, but their brain sends more hunger signals. And like, you know, it's different levels of difficulty for everyone, you know? It's just, it's a process. I'm not saying it's a closed system, Purple Orange, yeah. I'm just saying that like it is like you burn an amount of energy and you consume an amount of energy. You can't get bodily energy or caloric energy from anywhere other than eating or drinking. You know, we don't photosynthesize. We don't have an ability to like incorporate metabolic energy from anything that isn't food. Now, people digest food at different levels of efficiency. Have you guys ever wondered why bodybuilders or weightlifters or athletes have cheat days rather than like any other way of eating more junk food? Because if you are on a diet most days and then one day you're like, fuck it, I want like a bunch of tasty food. If you eat like 6,000 calories of pizza and wings in one day, your body doesn't digest all of it. You might eat 6,000 calories, but you know, when you have your explosive diarrhea later that day, your body might have only processed like 4,000 or so, meaning that Like, a lot of those calories, at least from like a dietary perspective, were free. Where does it go? In the toilet. Your body doesn't have time to fully like process all the calories and all that food. You know, it doesn't process all of it like perfectly. You know, that's like a whole thing. Recycle the calories. Well, I mean, it just goes right through you, right? Like, that's the case for a lot of things. Like, for instance, if you eat anything that makes you sick and you have diarrhea after, the body literally doesn't have time to process all the calories that were contained in the food that your body makes into diarrhea. So in a lot of cases, like, the calories, like, just don't get factored into the system. It's a whole complicated variable thing, you know? That's why fiber is so important. It traps calorie-heavy sugars in the fibers and not into you. Yeah. Like, it's a whole, you know, being balanced or whatever. So I should overeat as long as I get diarrhea every time. If you are dieting and you want to have a big splurge day where you eat a bunch of food, then you should probably like contain it to a day of eating, but don't make yourself uncomfortable. You know, like you're going out to a nice restaurant, or what if you're dieting and it's like your birthday or like a friend's birthday or whatever? Like, you shouldn't diet on your birthday. Fuck that. Well, like, are you some psychopath? You kidding me? What are you talking about? You know, no, like, have a good day, you know? Is there more to gaining weight than higher calories in than out? Well, you have to make sure your body's actually using those calories properly. So exercising so that you have micro tears in your muscle fibers that your body uses protein to repair. Having enough fiber so that your body actually like processes everything properly, like making sure you're getting the right macros so that your body is using the materials it needs. Yeah, you can gain, yeah, there's thought that goes into everything. It's always complicated. Yeah. Yes, and don't forget to mechanically load your teeth. Very important. All right, well, we're all feeling fit and firm and healthy now. There are issues that don't allow people to process certain foods, and it can lead to obesity and other health problems. Yeah, it's not simple in like the broad scope of things. It's just, you know, there are simple rules to follow. It's you build on the basics. What the fuck does that mean? Mechanically load your teeth? You'll have to watch some material from my fitness inspiration, The Liver King. Sorry, but micro tears are an outdated view on how muscles work. If there's a more modern understanding of how muscle growth happens, I don't know it. That is what I was taught. That is my understanding of it. Muscle fibers are like bunches and bunches of like strings of muscle cells, you know, like skeletal muscle. And when you work out, like, there are little tears because, you know, there's like a bunch of them and you're straining them. And then your body comes in with more protein fibers to reinforce them. And that ends up making the muscle bigger. That's my understanding. If it's wrong or if there's something more like modern, then okay. Maybe 2D Siggy. Yeah, I've seen Hazbin Hotel now, and I gotta say, it's not very good. Dungeon Meshi, every episode is better than the last. Insane how good it is. Like, definitely season peak. Maybe year peak. Maybe more than that. Just guessing. Hazbin is mid. Free Reign I'm enjoying, but not as much as Dungeon Meshi. Like, Free Reign's good. But Dungeon Meshi is in a league of its own, in my opinion. I've not seen Solo Leveling, no. Is it better or worse than Hell of a Boss? Worse, worse. I like Hell of a Boss. I like it. I think it's stylistically consistent and enjoyable. But I don't care for Hazbin. How do you feel about the Chainsaw Man anime? I like the manga more, at least for the section that it's covered so far. But keep in mind that the part of Chainsaw Man that has been made into an anime is by far the least interesting part of the manga. Like, the stuff that's been covered in the anime adaptation thus far is incomparably less interesting than what happens later on in the manga. So it's like, you know, it's not really a fair comparison, I feel. How are you liking Freeman? I think Freeman's cute. I like the slow pace. God help me. Spring is coming. Yeah, fucking seasonal allergies. I tried Has Been and all I could think of is who is this for? That's a good question. Hold on 1 second. There's exactly one more thing we have to do before I can get to the broader political topics. Let's not disappoint my editors too much. The dungeon meshy glazing is unreal. It's great, but not JJK. Wow, that's great bait. To the Shadow Realm you go. Goodbye. Yeah, domain expansion. Shadow Realm. All right, so there we go. Okay, I was curious about this because I saw some of these ads on my Twitter feed. Over in Seattle, the city that you know, that the CIA occasionally deploys me to when I don't have business in Langley, there's a city ordinance that adds an additional automatic like $5 like extra tip to drivers for delivery apps. In addition to like the regular tip, you know, like it goes directly to the driver. It doesn't go to the corporation. It was done to provide a better living wage for delivery drivers. And there were these ads that I saw from the, wait, hold on. Washington Alliance for Innovation and Independent Work. Okay, so these people are ghouls, right? Like, they paid for these ads. We are a coalition of consumers, independent workers, small businesses, app-based services, and community leaders from across Washington state. So this is like, these are like corpo fuck gig economy proselytizers, okay? So we don't trust them, we don't like them. However, I saw these ads and I wanted to take a look because I didn't feel very good about this ordinance either. Oh, what? Urgent, keep delivery affordable. What? I just clicked the video.
A new Seattle City ordinance designed to give food delivery app drivers a more livable wage is backfiring. That's according to the drivers themselves. They're telling us they're making half of what they used to earn. The new $5 fee on DoorDash.
Does the extra tip come from the consumer or the employer? It comes from the consumer, which is the issue I have, because the problem with the gig economy is not going to be solved by, like, you know, making the price of ordering everything higher, by making, like, by forcing a higher tip. You know, like, like the problem here is the wealth extracted by the corporations that manage this whole gig economy bullshit.
Uber Eats orders is causing customers to delete the apps. The ordinance went into effect on January 13th. DoorDash says with the new fee, drivers should get paid more. The company estimates drivers would get paid about $26.40 per hour before tips.
Assuming that you are working constantly, then yes, you're going to be making that much money. But that's not what's happening right now because people are not ordering as much anymore. I've got nothing. I'm not going to sit here for hours for one frickin' order.
One driver shared how much he made this week last year. That was nearly $1,000. But this is what he made last week. You can see about $465. The new ordinance is called the Pay Up Law, and neither of the Seattle City Council members who originally championed it, Lisa Herbold and Andrew Lewis, are still in office. But
I don't know if this data is necessarily reliable, but I gotta say, yeah, like the solution to this issue is definitely not, what if we forced a higher tip on people? Ordering shit via DoorDash is expensive everywhere, but after this law came into effect, like, man,
Mayor Harrell recently praised the law's implementation in a statement describing gig workers as, quote, critical to Seattle's economy.
Mm-hmm. And there was this other ad.
Penny Melson is unstoppable on the battlefield.
Switch weapons.
Here at home, life is a little more contained.
Wait, what game is that, chat?
I'm disabled. Walking is torture for me. It's really painful. And I can only go so far. Groceries becomes a struggle. No, you're not going to shop now.
So she relies on grocery delivery services.
And I've used them for years. I love Instacart. There's the tip.
But lately, Instacart's
service fee.
Not loving her back.
Regulatory response fee.
Check out her latest receipt.
That
Item subtotal, service fee tax, checkout bag fee tax, deals discount, regulatory response fee tax. Nice.
It's the new one. That is that fee. And look at this, they taxed it.
A month ago, her receipt didn't have that regulatory response fee, and she says it was a lot more manageable.
That $22 eats into the money that I would have to be able to get essentials.
But apps like Instacart are saying they have to now add that fee.
I love the Seattle skyline so much, man. It's so unique and beautiful. Even the inner city highway, even the 5 running right through it, like it runs like under most of the nearby infrastructure. So it's like this little valley cut out in the middle of downtown. It's really cool to look at.
Saying they have to now add that fee as a result of the significant increase in operating costs under this regulation. Many delivery drivers advocated for the ordinance to improve minimum pay for gig workers. The leader of that effort says,
and certainly nothing in the policy requires apps to impose additional fees, to pass those fees on to customers.
She says to blame the app companies.
Okay, so here what they're saying. Wait, so is this in response to a different law? Because I know that one of the laws is just like the flat extra tip. So this is like the additional fee on the thing. Are they going after 2 laws?
Being as a result of decisions made by the apps, really, that both workers and customers are bearing the brunt.
But customers, like Melson, hope they look at the bigger picture.
All right, and then you get to loot them. There are going to be people who stop using the service because we can't afford it. Let's get together and figure out a solution that works for everybody.
A DoorDash spokesperson told me today, quote, "We warned the previous city council that we would likely need to implement a new fee to help offset some of the costs." I also reached out to Seattle City Council early this afternoon, but as of this air date, they have yet to provide any comment. Reporting live in Seattle, I'm Maddie White.
I'm sorry, I'm confused. I thought there was I thought we were talking about the $5 like auto extra tip. Are we talking about 2 different things? Seattle gig economy fee. The app-based worker minimum payment ordinance requires network companies to pay the greater of a minimum per mile amount of 44 cents and a minimum per mile amount of 74 cents, or a minimum per offer amount of $5. Oh, I could be wrong here. These aren't applied directly to the consumer. They're applied to the corporation. The corporation just automatically, like, gives it to the consumer. I literally have seen in gig economy apps that I've opened before, it's saying, like, here's a $5 fee that's being added. There's nothing we can do about this. So I guess they were lying, which isn't surprising. My understanding was that it was automatically applied as, like, an extra tip, not something they were passing down directly. Man, the gig economy is so fucked. Maybe I'm okay with this then. I don't know. It's probably a good thing that the services of gig economy workers be more expensive, because the world we're creating is an unsustainable one and the gig economy is fucked. But it's also hurting gig economy workers, so... Because, like, if fewer people are using it... There are so many levels at which this is fucked. Like, this is wrong. This is like, it's turtles all the way down. DoorDash's latest data show that just over 2 weeks since the pay regulations launched, consumers have placed 30,000 fewer orders in the DoorDash marketplace, with expectations it'll worsen and cause significant decline in the revenue for Seattle businesses. You can't hurt gig economy apps without hurting the gig economy workers in the short term. There have to be ways. I just don't know how invasive you would have to make the laws. I think you would just have to make it not a gig economy. You just have to have them be paid wages for the time that they're on. But then it's not the gig economy, and it's a totally different service. The thing is, there's truly no way to have this be a profitable business without abusing people. The gig economy is explicitly and unavoidably abusive to workers. You know, I don't know if you can regulate around that. Gig economies feel like scams. I mean, they kind of are in a lot of ways. Yeah. I don't know if I have a solution for this. I think I'd have to think about it. Like, there are solutions, but it'd be difficult to implement. Chicano, it's not without putting price controls, but price controls are a huge no-no. You don't want price controls. Well, you do in some cases, but the idea of implementing price controls at a city level sounds insane to me. You can do that with something regionally locked like land, like there are versions of rent control that can function, but the idea of implementing that for something like the gig economy sounds like insane. I'd have to think about it. It sounds very complicated. Hmm. Mm-hmm. Look at this fucking Twitter account, dude. Things we're loving this Valentine's Day. Independent contractors, small businesses, app-based services, flexible job. Thank you, Washington Alliance for Innovation and Independent Workers. Or work. Wonderful. This might all be a giant psyop. After all this information we're getting about how like Seattle gig workers can't pay rent or whatever, you know, we might be getting like very filtered information. So maybe gig workers in Seattle are doing better than they seem to be based on this. Who knows? Maybe I'll look into it in the future. Being a 1099 contractor is not a small business. I'm pretty sure that in America, small business means you have less than 500 employees. I don't know what it says about contractors. Maybe it's less than 500 employees and consistent contractors, or maybe contractors aren't factored in at all. Maybe Uber is a small business because it has like all like contractors. Well, there's Uber corporate, I guess. Wouldn't competition fix this? A co-op gig app? No, it doesn't work. We've seen this happen before where anytime a new gig app opens up, its costs are initially very low, but they're only trying to undercut the market with the seed capital they got from their like initial investment, you know? Like initially, Uber was really cheap, but once they became the monopoly, they inflated prices. Then Lyft, you know, was a thing, and Lyft was really cheap, but then they inflated prices. Like this happens every time. There's no, you know, no getting around it. A lot of these people might not be contractors much longer. Thanks, Biden. Yes, the Biden administration actually has been getting pretty active and loud about the gig economy. Could we get some more like positive Department of Labor news, please, to balance out all the bad news? Beginning to think capitalism is bad, actually? What are you talking about? Don't be ridiculous. The new rule is set to take effect on March 11th. Nice. We'll see how that goes. But a co-op would never need to raise prices past what inflation and cost demanded. That's not true. Co-ops still want to make a healthy profit, after all. Co-ops don't solve capitalism. They would still want to... Artemy? What do you think, Artemy? Oh, nope. He escaped me. He was too fast. There's no way I could catch up to him now. What if cities like Seattle started running their own delivery portals? It would be similar to how cities run farmers markets, providing a venue for people to connect and trade. I think that something like that could be pretty fantastic, especially if it was limited to stuff like groceries. I think you could make a really strong argument for cities running their own like grocery delivery system, where if you have like a large order to make, you can run it through them and they deliver it, because that's also an accessibility thing. That's good. That is a good thing. Have them run it like at cost. You would still pay to use it, but they would run it at cost using like city infrastructure and the permissions given. I don't think the city should be doing stuff like that for like restaurant orders. They would have to like have a limited number of like signed up businesses that they run it through, like grocery stores or whatever, you know? Did they Black Caucus? It's a good idea, I think. I think that could be done well. EBT free delivery or something like it, yeah. Have a minimum order. Well, it would just there is a tax distinction between like food that you get that's not prepared, like at a grocery store, and food that is prepared, like at a restaurant. Like there's a tax distinction there. You don't pay taxes on groceries. You do at a restaurant. So, you know, I think it'd be pretty easy for the state to distinguish between like which, you know, which you'd go for. Fuck it, let's bring back fruit carts and milkmen. Absolutely. Licking his paw. He doesn't need fucking groceries delivered. He can just eat his hand. Cat. Lack of fruit carts means I have nothing to drive into when I'm on a high-speed car chase anymore. Yeah. A big problem with us, a big problem with like this country grocery-wise as well, is just like nobody knows how to or has any interest in cooking anymore. I'm sorry, your house should have at any point in time a massive volume of like staple foods, like dried pasta, canned beans, rice and stuff. If you have that and some spices, you can always make a big delicious meal that you can prepare for multiple days. I don't think there's anything wrong with like stopping by the market to get some like things to cook that day, but it is kind of weird to me that people don't have that. Like I think a lot of it is because you fucks only eat frozen food, you know? You'll be like, dude, I'm spending $80 a day on groceries or whatever, and the $80 a day is all going to like frozen pre-made meals that you're just, you know, heating up. It's like, fuck. No shit, right? What's wrong with frozen food? It's crazy expensive, and you can usually make the stuff that's frozen yourself, tastier and much cheaper and more cost-effective, and you're not keeping it in the freezer where you have limited space. You can keep it in a pantry where you have presumably a lot more space. I mean, If you can keep it in a pantry, you can just stack it in a corner of the room if you want to. Super salty as well. Yeah, it tends to be. Air fried chicken nuggets isn't cooking. No, I know. That's frozen food that I do, but I can make chicken. Like, you know, like get some chicken breasts. You can get like a big, like, bulk thing of chicken breasts usually at one of those discount grocery stores. You know what I mean? Like Winco, I guess, would be the one here in the Pacific Northwest. And you can get like 12 chicken breasts, and just in 1 hour you can make like an ungodly amount of chicken in like a big pan. Now, unironically, fuck cooking. What do you mean? You're alive, aren't you? It's not difficult to make rice and beans. It's crazy expensive, but those workers doing 60+ hours a day at their grueling job feel like they have zero time for proper cooking. Yeah, but even that is wrong. I'm telling you, even if you have basically no free time, you can get a rice cooker for like no money at all, make a fuck ton of rice, and then just like pour a bunch of like black bean cans into a pot and like heat it up and add some sour cream, some salt, some pepper, some chili powder, garlic powder, whatever, you know, mix that. And then you've got rice beans, add some cheese on top, and you have like the fucking nutrient building block of human life. Seriously, rice, some beans, and then some cheese on top, and that this is like a unit of life right here. Like this is like the fundamental building block of existence. It's perfect. It's carbs, it's protein, it's fat, it's everything you need, you know? And it's tasty. Pinto beans are better. Oh, sure, pinto beans, whatever. Oh God, the rice bean discourse again. Mexican food is the definition of mid. Did you think a yellow name would save you from the shadow realm? Unbelievable. You're describing my dinner tonight? It's good. Like, it's good. If you just add the right seasoning to the beans and you cook it long enough that the stock the beans are in kind of like simmers down and gets like thick so it settles nicely and it's tasty, that's tastier than most frozen meals you can make and infinitely cheaper. For about $10, you can make a volume of rice and beans that will last you in terms of like calories and how many meals you can make out of it, like 5 times as long as a frozen meal. People don't have time for that. Yeah, yes, you do. No, I don't accept that bullshit. Yes, you do. A rice cooker works on its own. You don't have time to put the rice and the water in? Like, yes, you do. Do you have time to, like, I don't know, you have 1 minute? And then for the beans, you just put the beans in and then you put it simmer and stir it a little bit. You can be on your phone while you're doing it. I'm on my phone when I do it. You dump the beans in the pot. Oh, what's on Twitter? Like, wait, I know you have the time. Don't bullshit me, okay? And the food will last ages, a while after. Yeah, you are currently watching a Vosh stream, okay? I do not want to hear it. Meal kit subs let me cook a lot of things I wouldn't otherwise, and they're tasty. They are tasty. They're just very expensive. I've had plenty of frozen food. This isn't a moral judgment. I'm just saying that it's better to generally try to, like, at least make some bulk, like, stock foods that you can, you know, defer to. I mean, fuck, honestly, you know what else is a really good step up? Campbell's chunky soup. Like any of the like soup cans, they're like $2 and they have like 400 calories of soup. If you put some of that over rice, that's actually often really good because the soup will have fat and protein and the rice adds the calories. Really good, really filling. Or a canned chili, just canned chili, you know? You know, you can make your own chili. It's packed with salt, though. Yeah, I know, but if you don't add a bunch of salt to it after the fact, it's fine. Some canned chili on top of rice, really good. Rice is good. You're not going to die of sodium poisoning from having one thing of canned soup. Guys, come on. Destiny and Lonerbox make these seem defenses whenever someone tries to explain the fact that food deserts exist. How does it feel to get styled on by myself, Destiny, and Lonerbox? You know, the fucking trifecta of condemnations descending upon you. A fucking orbital strike coming in from every direction. Like, food deserts exist and are an issue because, on average, humans don't make good decisions, and also people's access to the ability to make good decisions can influence the likelihood of them making them. We don't operate on the assumption that humans are robots that always make the best choice, but you should still strive to make the best choice. You can simultaneously recognize, for example, that poor socioeconomic outcomes tend to lead people down bad life paths, like, for example, higher rates of, like, drug dependency in some cases, right? Like, debilitating drug dependency. But at the same time, that doesn't mean I can't also say, hey, don't do fentanyl, kids. Like, you can do both of those things. So likewise, if you live in a food desert and you work 60 hours a week, I understand that these are factors that can influence the likelihood of you being able to make the good decisions, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't make the good decisions. The good decision here is make a lot of rice, make a lot of beans, yum, yum, yum. Get some tortillas, make some burritos. Have a good time. Do you prefer basmati rice, white rice, jasmine rice, or brown rice? Sushi rice. I get medium grain rice. Much tastier than long grain, in my opinion. But are, like, rices interchangeable? No, they taste different. Do you wash your rice before cooking? Yeah, of course. How long does rice last before expiring? If you have a good rice cooker that will stay hot and keep the rice heated, it can last like 3 or 4 days after you cook it. Though some people will say, you know, if you mean uncooked rice will last basically forever before you cook it. If you cook it and then put it in the fridge, it'll last a pretty long time. I swear chat thinks when you say rice and beans, you mean plain rice and just plain beans. Yeah, it's like it's literally like they've never made food before. It's crazy. It makes me wonder how, like, Latin people watching my streams feel when they see, very obviously, with respect, white people watching and they're like, well, rice is so bland. Are you fucking kidding me? You know, like, it'd be like if you said bread is good and in everyone's mind they thought of, like, I don't know, literally just a meal that is like a tuft of sourdough pulled from the center of a loaf sitting on a plate. It's like, what? That's weird. You just eat that? Like, no understanding of how these foods get incorporated or used. As a Latin person, yeah, these people need to use spices. Yeah, like, fuck, you know? Or hot sauce. Hot sauce is good for you. Hell yeah. Warms your heart up. Gets you going. Wakes your ass up. Get some damn hot sauce, get some chili powder, get some salt. If you don't have salt and pepper in your kitchen and you're eating frozen food, you're insane. You're not even a person. Like, I know this describes at least one of you. Like, you live off frozen food and you don't even have salt and pepper. I know this describes at least one of you. You are insane. Absolutely insane. You're not even living life right now. Like, you're a shadow person sleepwalking through life. God almighty. Yeah. Onion and garlic powder is good. Get some rosemary, you know, even if it's shitty, like pre-cut rosemary, that's pretty dry. It still adds a nice aromatic, a nice flavor to some meals, you know. But Vosh, the sodium and salt. Yeah. Oregano. I actually don't like oregano that much, but I still have some, yeah. The rare times that it's useful. Ugh. Soup is also a really good option for cheap bulk food. Yeah, you can get some, like, chicken stock and make basically anything you want. Does Vosh hate depressed people? Vosh hates depression and wants you all to do better. spice tier list. You know what's really good and goes on a lot of stuff? That like generic Cajun seasoning that you can get at grocery marts. You can usually get it in like a really big thing. That shit fucking goes hard. The one thing I recommend is if you're buying spices, don't ever buy a mix of spices unless it's something like that where it's like kind of a distinct thing of flavors. Like don't buy herb mix that's like rosemary and oregano or whatever. Or don't buy garlic salt. Why would you do that? You have salt, you have garlic powder. What does garlic salt do except confuse the issue? Like what if you want one but not the other? Why? Like why? Same with like onion salt, which is less common but still a thing. Lemon pepper seasoning. Yeah, don't lemon pepper just get pepper and there's lemon powder, citric acid, lemon juice, whatever else. Yeah. Don't you swear by truffle salt? Yes, I do. But I think that truffle salt is a very distinct seasoning. Like, I never am just making a thing and I think, oh, I want some salt. Let me add truffle salt or whatever. Like, truffle salt is very distinct, whereas garlic salt just tends to be used as like, yeah, it's the garlic salt. It's garlic powder and salt. You know, like, I don't know. Truffle salt has a very, very distinct flavor profile that goes with some stuff, like, you know, distinctly. Yeah. Yeah, also, I'm not going to buy truffles and grind them up and add them to my food. So that's the way I'm accessing that flavor. Why not just buy dried truffles and do that? You can if you want. The real reason is that the real flavor that you get from truffles isn't from like grinding them up or whatever. It's from the oil that you get in truffles. And truffle salt has that oil very finely dispersed. So if you want to like finely disperse that oil, you need it to be contained in some kind of particulate anyway. So if you're not using it with salt, you can like what? Mix truffle oil with sand? You know, like you're mixing it with something anyway. So if you're going to get that flavor in that way, it might as well be salt, the most ubiquitous seasoning. I thought I had fucking mustache hair in my mouth. Yes, truffle oil and butter are very good. Hey, wouldn't it be cool if we did actual politics? As flattering as it is to have 6,000 people here with me while I ramble about this stuff, there are other topics to talk about. Let me pee super quick, and then we'll get right to it. Pardon me. And my nose is really stuffed up today. Learn to cook. I promise you can make stuff that's better than any prepackaged food. For sure, but to be clear, I'm not even advocating people like learn to cook as like a real skill that they work to develop. I just mean like the absolute most basic ability to construct your own meal. You'll save so much money, dude. You'll save so much money. Holy shit. And it'll be tastier. It's not like all that frozen food is good, you know? This jacket? I got it from Etsy, Skynet. You'll probably be able to find it if you look it up. Want to draw Vosh as a Senshi now? All right, what is this? Somebody linked me this a few times. Nancy Pelosi crumbles when asked, but there are levers Biden hasn't used. Oh, well, let's see. What is this?
The White House has escalated its rhetoric pretty sharply last week. Mr. Biden said Israel's conduct of the war was over the top. There are a lot of innocent people who are starving. He said there are a lot of innocent people who are in trouble and dying, and it's got to stop. Can Mr. Biden make it stop?
Well, we have I don't want to call him Mr. because I've lost so much respect for him, Netanyahu there, who seems to be...
You've lost respect for him?
Long time ago. But nonetheless, he seems to be calling the shots, and he and his very extreme right wing, I wouldn't even say conservative, because that's a legitimate place to be in the...
Oh my God, Nancy, holy shit. Even when you're... Oh my God, it's like you have a fucking mandatory quota of being a disappointment. I don't even... Oh my God. I love American liberalism. You know, I think the Dems are often pretty dumb. I don't think they're so dumb that they haven't known this entire time what Netanyahu is. Like, I think that from the word go, the Democrats probably understood that Netanyahu was a genocidal lunatic, but they didn't think he would actually go through with it. They thought it would be like all the other conflicts, you know, the Intifadas or whatever, where there's like conflict and suffering, sure, but like it ends and it pulls back. I think they deluded themselves into believing that it wouldn't escalate to this point, where now like the IDF is on the brink of invading Rafah and pushing 1.4 million Palestinians up against a wall Egypt is building, and you know. And given that, maybe they're like adjusting their rhetoric a little bit, you know, not that it means much at this point.
The world of thinking on the spectrum, but right-wing, radical right-wing cabinet. So I would hope that hearing from a friend of Israel, as Joe Biden has always been, and all of us have been, that he would respect the lives of the people who are innocent collateral damage in this war.
But there are levers that Biden could use, which he hasn't used. There are levers which previous presidents have used when Israel has, in their view, crossed the line.
For example?
Go back to 1956. Eisenhower threatened sanctions if Israel didn't pull its forces out of Sinai. Reagan, you know, held up delivery of fighter jets over Israel's action in Lebanon. George Bush Sr. blocked loan guarantees because of settlement building.
He did. I was there the day that
Yes, I remember that historical event because I am fucking ancient and I have been here forever. Thank you. Oh, Eisenhower? I remember him when he was but a little boy.
Well, you're going back to 56. I mean...
So these levers are there, aren't they?
Well, there's some, but the president has said something about the settlements. He has said something about the settlements.
That's it, really. Master statecraft from somebody who's been doing this for ages. Fantastic. We'll talk about what he said. You know, he said something. Man.
But saying and blocking weapons supplies, for instance, are very different things, aren't they?
Well, it's not. It's a path.
It's a path, you know? Hey, listen, man. Saying something, that's a thing, you know, you could, yeah, that's a thing you can do to say something. We're saying things now. Maybe it's not so bad. Remarkable. Truly remarkable. Yeah, here's the thing that was said. Thank you for the link. Reuters. U.S. says Israel's new settlements in West Bank are inconsistent with international law. This is actually a pretty big deal. Like, obviously, with regard to the whole, you know, ongoing genocide thing, it seems kind of small potatoes, but yeah, this is and so basically what's happened here is that a little while back, the Biden administration placed sanctions on some of the more outwardly violent and active West Bank settlers. You know, these are people who are literally like going town to town in the West Bank with armor and guns and like harassing, hassling, ousting, displacing, you know, Palestinians. And the Biden administration sanctioned, like, I don't know, a dozen of these people, of the louder ones. And in spite of this, these settlers have been getting hundreds of thousands of dollars in online funds, some of which is presumably coming from the United States, which is illegal because they're sanctioned. Like, $140,000 for Yinon Levy for allegedly assaulting Palestinian civilians in the occupied West Bank, unauthorized settler outposts from over 3,000 donors worldwide. Those contributions may be putting donors, crowdfunding sites, and the financial service firms that process the payments at risk of penalties for violating U.S. sanctions. Yeah, sanctions mean sanctions, right? So I guess we'll see what the fallout is from that. But after those sanctions were placed, I'm pretty sure that, like, literally the other day, thousands of new settlements have been approved. Or sorry, thousands of new residences have been approved in the West Bank, like, following this. So basically, Israel and the West Bank settlers are continuing to openly defy even the weak milquetoast condemnation the Biden administration is willing to offer them. So, following that, now Blinken is coming out here and just flatly saying that these new settlements are a violation of international law. So that's wacky. Speaking at a news conference during a trip to Buenos Aires, U.S. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken said the United States was, quote, disappointed in Israel's announcement of plans for building new housing in the occupied West Bank, saying they were counterproductive to reaching an enduring peace. Yeah, man, that's what Israel's going for here. That's definitely the vibe. They're also inconsistent with international law. Our administration maintains a firm opposition to settlement expansion, and in our judgment, this only weakens and doesn't strengthen Israel's security, Blinken says. In November 2019, Trump's Secretary of State Mike Pompeo announced that Washington no longer viewed Israel's settlements in West Bank land it captured in the 1967 Middle East War as inconsistent with international law, a reversal of 4 decades of U.S. policy. So America disapproved of the West Bank settlements for decades, and then Trump's Secretary of State said, actually, we're fine with it now, and now that decision has been undone. It is actually a pretty big deal to directly undo Pompeo's precedent on this, because it indicates not just like milquetoast condemnation, but rather an active opposition to, like, active work being undone, I guess, bad work nonetheless, but still. So it is meaningful. It's not entirely insignificant. It's just, did you see Mossad tweeting that Yemeni 9-year-olds are little Houthis and are not innocent? Oh, it's my little Hamas joke, except real. This isn't actually Mossad, right? This is just an account called Mossad Commentary. Do you consider them innocent? And look at these little baby Houthis. Houthilets. Houthlets? Houthlets. Houthlings, exactly. Is that a Ghostbusters cosplay? It did kind of look like it, didn't it? Yeah. Joe Biden's administration has opposed further expansion of settlements and counterproductive peace. Recently imposed sanctions, right. So I guess between this and Nancy Pelosi saying she doesn't like Netanyahu, this is an indication that there's some move that's being made towards distancing themselves from the actions of Netanyahu that they were aware of and have fully supported and continue to support in many ways up until this point. What are you going to do, huh? What are you going to do? Optically speaking, there is no way to distance yourself from this at this point without, like, incredibly severe action. We're like, not even at this point, even sanctions would not be sufficient. I mean, sanctions against the state of Israel, not just against some of the more violent West Bank settlers. You would have to commit. And I don't know if they're willing to commit that hard. So at this point, like, what the fuck is the point of even distancing yourself from Netanyahu? Like, are you going to do anything? And if not, then what's the point? Like, it seems like an incredibly milquetoast effort being made to launder your own behavior, to distance yourself, I don't know. They don't have a spine. They won't do shit. Oh, no, well, my point is, at this point, I don't even know if having a spine would be beneficial. Think about it. If the Democrats pivoted, like, all the way over to the correct position and became, like, openly opposed to Netanyahu and Israel in every conceivable way, up to the point of, like, military intervention, that wouldn't be, like, to their favor politically. They've spent too long cultivating support for Israel and their followers. So, like, what the fuck do they do, right? Like, it seems like it's too late politically. I'm not saying they shouldn't. It's morally good of them to oppose what Israel is doing. It's just like Jesus. The Israel lobby is too powerful. I want to be careful with the language because it's not really the Israel lobby. AIPAC isn't powerful because of Israel. It's powerful because of conservatives. Israel is just the wedge issue that they use. It's the same way that like the abortion or the anti-abortion lobby is powerful, but it's not being led by fetuses, you know. It's something being fought over as a symbolic battle that actually means other stuff, much in the same way that like your average Republican politician does not give a fuck about abortions and they have their mistresses go off and get illicit abortions all the time. You know, what they care about is control of women and everything that implies, like socially. It's not really about the fetuses. And likewise, you know, there are tons of like white nationalist American conservatives who think Jews are going to hell and only care about Israel insofar as it fulfills a biblical death prophecy. You know, it's not really about Israel. I would go so far as to say that like cynical weaponization of Israeli power as a way of fronting broader conservative issues has extended into Israel itself. I mean, do you think Netanyahu is like a devout Jew? Do you think he gives a fuck? I don't think he gives a fuck. Like, you know, Israel isn't just incidentally a Jewish state. It's the Jewish state, you know? You'd think that Netanyahu would have to be pretty, like, religiously aligned for that to make sense, but I don't think he is. I think it's all pretty fucking cynical, you know? How does Israel get destroyed in the Christian prophecy? It's a rapture thing, that the Jews need to occupy the Holy Land in order for the rapture to happen. Something like that. The details, I mean, it's biblical prophecy, so people like interpret it this way or another, but that is often how it's perceived, yeah. Basically, like, they all get sacrificed. They all get, like, Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhooded as Jesus returns. It's bullshit. It's not canon to Christianity. It's all bullshit. Who cares? What matters is what people interpret. I don't think any of it's real. Will you ever do a charity stream to donate to UN to RWA? I keep saying this, and it feels really grim to have to keep repeating it, but I understand why people ask the question. The reason why there haven't been any charity streams is because, given the situation in Gaza, it's very possible that no amount of money given to any organization will meaningfully stop or help. Like, you can raise a bunch of money to a charity org, but if they're prevented from entering, or they just, like, the resources they need are blocked or whatever else, I don't even know what it will do or what it can do. And I don't want to have, like, a charity stream where it's like, yeah, we're going to raise a bunch of money. Like, I don't know if it'll do anything, you know? When we raised money for what happened in Ukraine, it was for something that was very, like, direct and actionable, which was helping refugees leaving the country. That's something that, like, an NGO can work on and help directly. I can understand that. Like, you know, it's difficult, but it's work that can be done. What can an org do right now in Rafah? You know, like, genuinely, aid is being blocked. You know, if they could just, like, if internet money could just allow aid to enter the Gaza Strip, then they wouldn't be starving right now. It's grim, you know. Well, let me turn the damn water off. Ideally, I would wear this jacket with a similarly colored shirt or pants, but unfortunately, I don't really have anything that's in the pink, purple, teal, blue range. I wear warm colors. These are all the cool colors. Well, I guess violet's more warm than cool. It's 50-50, you know. Let's whiplash a little bit. Let's talk about something somewhat more positive for a second, huh? We reconquered the moon. Neat, huh? Sometimes cool stuff does happen. Where's the video? Odysseus moon landing complete. There we go.
Nearly 55 years after Neil Armstrong took one small step for
Allegedly.
man, a private U.S. company has taken one giant leap for mankind's future of space exploration. CBS's Mark Strassman reports on today's historic moon landing.
Tonight, the Odyssey of Odysseus has ended on the moon, the first American-made spacecraft kicking up lunar dust in more than a half-century.
As our equipment is on the surface of the moon.
Jubilant. Mission control of Intuitive Machines in Houston, the first commercial moon landing ever. The final descent from 18 miles above the lunar surface, a continuous engine burn for 10 minutes. By touchdown, Odysseus had slowed to 2 miles per hour.
This is the assembly room.
It's pretty damn cool. I know it's corporate like space stuff, but it's a moon landing. What's cool is cool.
Intuitive co-founder Steve Altima showed us the historic moonlander up close last year in Houston. His company envisions a $100 billion lunar market.
We're delivering scientific payloads, engineering demonstration payloads, but not the humans themselves.
And you believe the moon is the next economic frontier?
The moon is certainly that next step for space exploration.
Odysseus landed near the lunar South Pole, carrying less than 300 pounds of cargo, including 6 instruments for NASA, an Intuitive customer. The space agency hopes to have astronauts moonwalking there by the end of the decade. Some craters there never see light, so cold they may contain ice, and water is critical to long-term space exploration.
I have mixed opinions on this because on one hand, I do want a moon colony, and I do understand that mining the moon for resources is actually a very sane thing to do. Like, it sounds like one of those crazy corporate things, but it's like, think about it for a second. Like, there's a lot of really valuable shit up on the moon. Like, sure. If that can be useful. I mean, sure. The problem is obviously that any kind of private market here would be, you know, obviously it'd be incredibly, you know, vulnerable to exploitation and fuck-ups. They're going to destroy the moon if they mine it. The moon is a little bit more sturdy than that. Yeah, we got to bring back all that cheese.
NASA plans to basically hire these companies to send payloads to the moon like you'd call an Uber or a Lyft. But these companies have to make it work first, and that's what we're seeing today.
Yeah, my understanding is that this stuff is being done for NASA and with NASA supervision, but NASA doesn't have the funding to actually finance these. So it's like a joint effort, you know. The lander was built by a private corporation, but it's not being done without NASA supervision.
Not since the end of the Apollo era has an American lander parked itself on the surface of the moon.
I like the suit pattern and color, and it seems to fit okay, except the shoulders are a little bit too large and there's a small collar cap. It means that there's not enough weight centered in the front of the suit. It's a common issue.
This mission will last roughly a week until lunar night freezes the solar batteries. Quite an achievement, Nora.
Yeah.
Quad or Chibe? What does that mean? Who would the moon colony be owned by? I don't know. There's no moon colony. Can't really say. Wait, I wanted to see more than that. Give me a longer video.
We see some clapping, though, Ken. I don't want to interrupt you. I don't know if that's some good news here. Let's pop up the audio for just a moment.
Yeah, pop up the audio. I saw somebody clapping.
Words to the entire team in Intuitive Machines at Superbab and here in the Mission Control. What an outstanding effort! I know this was a nail biter, but we are on the surface and we are transmitting. And welcome to the moon.
Their friends. You know, as we said, there's a little bit of communications issues. That there was some chatter that they were getting a signal back from the moon, but that had to all be confirmed. So it looks like it has landed. They're clapping. They're getting a signal from the moon, and so hopefully soon we'll get pictures. It could take some time, but right now they are ecstatic, and so am I. I mean, this is only the second commercial lander from the United States to attempt the landing, and now it looks like we've succeeded. And this one is at the South Pole, exactly where we want to send the Artemis astronauts. This is one of the landing zones, and so now it has about a 7-day mission. And then it goes into lunar night. It's not expected to survive that. But I expect we'll be getting a lot more information very soon. And this real exciting, I met these students from Embry-Riddle here, and, you know, they have this Eagle Cam experiment deployed, a little
she's like, well, how do I engage
30
with this?
meters
Look,
above the surface, and it's
looking
looking back to take a
do I just let him talk forever?
Okay, the first third-person image of a landing of any place in the whole solar system from a human system. So, you know, we should.
NASA does more than just supervise for this landing. They had a failure of a key navigational system and had to use NASA lasers for the landing. Oh, cool. Oh, man, that's so fucking awesome. Like, navigational shit goes down, and it's like, okay, we're going to fire a beam of light from the Earth, and you're going to use this laser pointer to land. Hell yeah, dude.
Get that pretty soon. I was speaking with the students. They're hopeful if it worked, they would get, you know, data within, you know, maybe a few moments or minutes.
Are like cats, exactly.
Certainly within an hour or so. But it all depends on communication, and it all depends on how that CubeSat was deployed. And it's rotating. And
what's the advantage of landing on the dark side? Why are they aiming for the South Pole? They didn't land on the dark side. They landed on the South Pole because it's that's the area they want to develop a future lunar base, and you would want to develop a lunar base at the pole because it has diffuse light. The moon is tidally locked to the Earth. You know, we only ever see one side of the moon, and like the parts of the moon that are exposed directly to the sun are, let's say, in a radiation sense, inhospitable to life, and the parts that are dark are extremely cold. So it's kind of a middle ground deal, right?
And hopefully the camera is pictured towards the lander. So we'll just have to wait and see. But preliminarily, this is real exciting. And Intuitive Machines has at least 3 missions with NASA. Okay, there's like about a dozen of these CLIPS missions, these commercial lunar lander payload missions that NASA has set contracts with the various companies. So if this worked, that's really exciting because it means Intuitive Machines can go ahead with their second mission, and that's going to have a little tiny rover on it, you know, kind of like the size of the cell phone, maybe. It looks extremely small, but that would...
More asteroid impacts on the dark side? Oh, that's true, yeah.
...be deployed along with some NASA payloads, so the future looks bright. Artemis doesn't completely depend on the success of these commercial missions, but if they work, it will be extremely helpful. And another thing that's on here is a laser retroreflector. So that is
going to say NASA just put this out that your order was delivered.
On back. Well, completely wrong going to go. So that's pretty clear.
Well, today has been such an exciting day to watch all of this happen as the...
No kidding. I think it's cool. Is that why we all lost cell phone service today? Because all the satellites were sending signals to the moon, lol. I don't even know if this is a joke. It is live now from Fox. Peasant brain? Yeah. Person tosses salt over their shoulder whenever they break glass. But as it prepared to descend to the surface, ground controllers realized that lasers intended to determine its altitude and horizontal velocity, key data points for it autonomously to land softly on the surface, weren't working. They ordered the craft to take an additional orbit around the moon before the landing attempt while uploading a software patch that would allow the spacecraft to begin using a NASA Doppler lidar system. That's so cool! They were like, oh, your fucking lander shit is broken. Take another lap around the moon. We're going to upload the software that lets us use NASA tech to help it land. We weren't planning to use it in line with the actual mission coming down to the landing, but now we are. That is so fucking cool. Astronauts as early as 2026. The landing is a coup for NASA at a time when several nations are eyeing the moon, particularly the lunar South Pole, where there is water in the form of ice. Water is not only vital to sustaining human life, but its hydrogen and oxygen could be used as rocket fuel. Why don't we do that here? We do. But then you have to lift the rocket up from Earth's gravity, which is very difficult. But if you could refuel a rocket after sending it over to the moon, you could give it a full tank of gas again, and then have it lift off from the comparatively incredibly easy takeoff that's the moon. What's the delta V Earth gravity well? Wait, hold on. Delta V orbit requirement by planet. Delta V map of the solar system. Is this it? Blue numbers, delta V in kilometers per second required to go from one node to the next. 9.4 kilometers per second to get out to low orbit from Earth, then 2.4 to get up to geostationary orbit. Moon transfer, 0.68. Yeah, from the moon to low orbit of the moon, 1.73. So the escape velocity necessary to leave from the moon is a fifth, basically, of what it is to leave Earth. XKCD has a delta V map. Hold on. XKCD delta V map. There is a lot of really cool stuff that could potentially be done if we had like a proper moon base, you know? Like, I'm totally in favor of it. I think it's awesome. Where Saturn, rings, Uranus, Neptune. Oh, there we go. There's Earth, right over there. Scaled to Earth's surface gravity. There you go. And there you have like the gravity wells. Relatively. And there's Jupiter. So that's cool. What the fuck am I looking at? It's a visual representation of the amount of energy that you need to escape the gravity well of a planet, like by reaching orbit. Though there's a lot of information here that I don't understand, you know. I'm not the XKCD guy. Jupiter literally eats all the space rocks that would kill us. Yeah, it's very nice of Jupiter. I'm dumb. The gravity on Mars has less force than the moon. No. It has more than the moon. it's a deeper well. It's just higher up in the mountain. Ruben, here, we should probably get some other stuff. Little man. What are you up to? Ooh. Sleepy. Ah. Yeah, we'll get around to it. How long have you had Ruben now? Like 9, 10 months? Okay, that's a lot of links, guys. Hold on. Hold on. God damn it. 1 second. I fucking hate this goddamn website. Independent.co.uk. Yeah, so in addition to inviting hailed conservative hero Liz Truss over, CPAC has been having a wacky fun time being open and mask off about being anti-democracy. Far-right influencer calls for end of democracy at CPAC as Republicans downplay Jan 6. Jack Posobiec, it's the Nazi. This is the guy who was 1488 posting way back. Trump, what are you on about today? What's your dealio, huh?
What's happened to them is probably to that extent never happened in our country before. The J6 hostages, you saw the spirit that these people have, the spirit you...
The hostages? I thought they were political prisoners, but I guess now this is still like a 3 years ongoing like hostage situation, you know?
You'd think they wouldn't have any spirit left, but they have tremendous spirit. What's happened to them is probably to that extent never happened in our country before.
Why do they do that? They play it twice. It's very confusing. I don't get it. Don't get it.
All right, welcome. I just wanted to say welcome to the end of democracy. We're here to overthrow it completely. We didn't get all the way there on January 6th, but we will endeavor to get rid of it and replace it with this right here. We'll replace it with this right here.
Is this who's the speaker being like yeah, all right, get off the stage.
We'll replace it with this right here.
Amen.
Oh, there we go. Never mind. Where is this like the main CPAC hall? It always starts with sarcasm. Jack Posobiec isn't subtle about what he wants. He's saying it jokingly because he means it sincerely. That's Bannon. Oh, yeah, that's Bannon. Over there, see? Steve Bannon. Another hero of the far right. Not him using the white power fist. Oh, you're mistaken. The extended fist is actually the black power symbol.
We will endeavor to get rid of it and replace it with this right here.
See? He's saying it's time for us to get rid of this bourgeois white supremacist democracy and replace it with a woke pan-Africanist, utopia. It's worse he has a cross. Oh, is he holding a little cross? Yeah, I wait, let me see. Oh yeah, you can see it. You can see it there dangling. See? It's like it's a crucifix, or maybe rosary. It's probably a crucifix. There you go. I just arrived. Why does Vosh want to get rid of democracy? Well, to replace it with the woke pan-Africanist utopia, obviously. Steve Bannon, you mean the guy that went to jail for defrauding people that gave him money to build the border wall? I think the Democrats could learn from this. It's so cool how when the conservatives will like spend a whole year arguing that they want what's best for the American people and they're not Nazis, and then they have their political conservative conference and they're just like, fuck it, everyone, let's go. Like every Nazi, every grifter, everyone who's ever fucked up, everyone who's so optically damaging we don't associate with them normally. Liz Truss, Jack Posobiec, Steve Bannon, everyone, let's fucking go. Everyone get in here, Yeah, the anti-democratic tendencies of the Republican Party aren't exactly a secret, and it's not the first time that I've covered it. It honestly feels kind of tiring covering it again, though we do get a little shot into the next segment because the independent.co.uk article describes him as far-right activist. I wish they would just say Nazi, and prominent Pizzagate influencer, because we'll be talking about Alex Jones next and how well he's doing. Have you talked about Project 2025 in detail before? Yes! Yes, I have! I get a weird number of messages and emails from people asking me to talk about it. Maybe I didn't talk about it like... Maybe the term Project 2025 wasn't in the title, so like people don't see it if they search for it, or maybe they don't even search for it. I don't know. Posobiec is among guests at this year's 4-day CPAC event in Washington, D.C., where Mr. Trump, right-wing media personalities, Congress, state officials, On Friday, he said his plan is to, quote, end democracy, included rolling back what he claimed as a list of Democrat policies, part of a regime that we will overturn. They say democracy, but they mean authoritarianism, and they know it. Yes. Some of our real heroes were there on January 6, putting their lives on the line, said panel moderator Julie Kelly, a right-wing media personality and author of January 6, How Democrats Use the Capitol Protest to Launch a War on Terror Against Political Right. Isn't it cool how this happened the exact same day that Nancy Pelosi was like, Netanyahu's far right. I don't mean conservative because that's a legitimate thing to be. And meanwhile, the Conservative Political Action Committee conference just seems to be entirely like, yeah, the beer hall putsch failed, but they were heroes and we'll do it better next time. Like that, fully, like while she's sitting there giving this like, well, we should all work along, bipartisanship. I don't want to imply that being conservative is a bad thing, Meanwhile, all of this. Former Justice Department official Jeffrey Clark, who is criminally charged in Georgia for his alleged attempts to unlawfully overturn 2020 election results, addressed CPAC on the 23rd of February. Nice. Simon Gold, fined and sentenced to 60 days in prison in 2022 for illegally entering the Capitol on January 6. Seeing a pattern. Ending with Trump has vowed to pardon Jan 6 defendants if elected. He could do it, too. What more is there to say, man? Genuinely, like, a huge part of my job isn't just like conveying the argument, it's conveying it in an entertaining way. And I feel like I'm running out of interesting ways to convey the very correct point. I feel like I have to keep pointing out the sky is blue, but people don't know the sky is blue. Also, did you see Michael Knowles call for the end of same-sex marriage openly at CPAC? I didn't see that, but that's not surprising. Michael Knowles is a sort of a very dense accumulation of Hitler particles. He was the one who said that we need an end to transgenderism, so not terribly surprising. That's also, by the way, the policy of like every Republican party at both a state and federal level, like every state Republican party. So not a huge surprise. That being said, you know, when they do stuff like that, it reminds me of the fact that people like Michael Knowles aren't trying to win over new voters or a majority of the country. They're trying to radicalize a group of brown shirts that they can use to subvert democracy. Same-sex marriage is well supported in the United States, even a lot of Republicans. Like when you see Republicans like further and further lock in on not especially effective or popular messaging, like ending gay marriage or being anti-abortion, like totally anti-abortion, like federal ban on abortion, or ending transgenderism. They're not doing that as part of an effort to like get new voters on board. They're doing that as part of an effort to pull away their already hyper-radicalized constituency and make them more likely to do the things the Republican Party wants them to do, so they don't have to worry about democracy anymore. Does that make sense? It's the point that I've made before about the difference between consolidation and trying to bring in new people, where the conservative movement goes through cycles. Fundamentally, conservatism, at least in its current form, is built on hate. There isn't much of a pretense of like economic austerity. Like that's clearly not what people are fighting over anymore. So we'll just say hate. Reactionary politics. And there are two phases they cycle in between. There are phases where the Republican Party does this like outward reaching, you know, oh, we don't hate people. We just hate like those, you know, those crazy woke feminists or those like radical race activists, you know, but we want everyone on board. Like, yeah. And this is around the time that you see people like Dave Rubin. Oh, look at him. He's like, you know, he's like a liberal gay guy and he's with us. Or Tim Pool, you know, he's a liberal. He was with the you know, Occupy Wall Street protesters, you know, but he's with us. And Blair White, we'll do all these interviews and talks with Blair White. See, we're not against transgender people. We're supportive of their mental illness as long as they aren't like delusional, you know. Even Steven Crowder used to rep that. I bet you guys wouldn't believe it now, but back when I used to cover Steven Crowder, the way he talked about trans people was disingenuously sympathetic. Nowadays, well, now nobody listens to him, but nowadays if you listen to him talk about trans people, just outright mockery and cruelty. But back in the day, there was more of this like, look, I think you're delusional, but you know, I don't think we should be like enabling your delusion, like that kind of thing, you know? I know that doesn't sound like that meaningful of a difference because obviously they're both covertly the same position, but what matters is the attempted outreach. And the conservatives all throughout Trump's presidency were doing this. All throughout like 2015, 2016, 17, Donald Trump holding up the LGBT flag. Remember? Back when he was running originally? A period of outreach. But as time went on, they lost interest in that. And I think the big turning point was January 6th. January 6th was like a big wake-up call to a lot of people. First of all, January 6th permanently locked a lot of people out of supporting conservatives in any kind of electoral sense. A lot of like independents, even if they don't like the Democrats, like January 6th was pretty obviously bad. So that was like an optics loss that kind of cut them out in a lot of ways. That's one. And for two, it was a reminder to the Republicans that they actually had an alternative avenue, right? They had another path to power that wasn't democratic. They had the, you know, brown shirt path. And that's what they've been doing since then. So all of the like open, you know, like dick sucking they've been doing of the January 6th protesters, all of the open promotion of crime and graft and authoritarianism, Trump joking about being an authoritarian when he gets into office, a dictator, Project 2025, all of it is an extension of the fact that they have more or less given up on the electoral approach. Maybe, humiliatingly, they still win electorally, which is an indication, if nothing else, of how bad a candidate Joe Biden is, but like that's not the main thing they're gunning for, so to speak, at this point. Wasn't Charlottesville a stronger turning point? No. Back in 2017, the Republicans were still very much doing the like, oh no, we just think that liberals have gone crazy. The left has gone crazy, but we're the reasonable ones. We're not hateful at all, blah, blah, blah. Charlottesville was bad, and it did turn a lot of people against them, sure, but it wasn't like the point at which they shifted away. It wasn't the point at which they realized the other avenue was a possibility. Seriously, like, look, ever since Trump's presidency, even still, support for gay marriage has continued to go up. With the exception of this one dip, it's data. There's going to be variance, right? Up to 71%. Do you think marriages between same-sex couples should or should not be recognized by the law as valid with the same rights as traditional marriages? Look at that. Over the course of my lifetime, 1994, right back here, probably it was like, what, 25%? I don't know. We have gone from 1/4 to basically 3/4 of the population. Now, things have stalled right here because the remaining group who doesn't believe in this are either hardline conservatives or, like their reactionary politics are a bit more unwavering. But 71%, this is like a 40-point, actually it's a 42-point difference, isn't it? It'd be 71 to 29. Yeah, 42-point difference. That's crazy. To support your point about how conservatives were in a sleeper phase before, Pat Robinson said in 2013 that being trans was not for us to judge. No kidding.
Oh, 1 second. In the Bible. Go ahead.
This is David, who says, I work with 2 people who have decided that they are females. I know what the Bible says about homosexuality, but is it wrong to refer to them as females since they've had their gender status changed in the eyes of the law? Why would you have to refer to them as females?
I don't understand all that, but I think there are men who are in a woman's body. It's very rare, but it's true. Or women.
Woke Pat Robertson.
That are in men's bodies, and they want a sex change, and that is a very permanent thing. Believe me, when you have certain body parts amputated and you have shot up with various kinds of hormones,
press pause for a second.
I don't know if the Christian Broadcast Network is like copyright.
He said believe me in a way that you would say that.
Oh, okay, they talk for a while. Oh, the clip shows what needs to be shown. Oh my God, he almost seems compassionate. Well, I can't speak for Pat Robertson personally. He doesn't come across as a very compassionate person, as like, on average, if you look at his behavior over the course of his lifetime. But yeah, again, like as we've said before, the current culture war, the reactionary movement against trans people isn't a product of some like long-standing, consistent hatred of trans people. It is a modern, constructed, deliberate reactionary hysteria, yes, that is being used as a political front, Pat Robertson is dead now, by the way. Well, that clip was from 2013, and he looked about 1,000 years old, so. I wish he was deader. Ah, well. Let's see. So after the Alabama state law passed by the Republican legislature and signed in by the Republican governor, then defended by the, state Supreme Court, affirmed the personhood of fertilized eggs in the state of Alabama to a point where in vitro fertilization doesn't seem to be a legal thing you can do anymore. The Republican Party, in their infinite wisdom, has proposed a federal law. Steele and 123 other House GOP members sponsor the Life at Conception Act, which would grant equal protection to each and every member of the species Homo sapien at all stages of life, including the moment of fertilization. It also mentions cloning, no carve-out for in vitro fertilization. Let's go. You know what? I think they should do it. I have other options. I can fuck men, okay? There are plenty of people I can fuck who can't carry children. Do it. Do it. Make the entire nation hate you. Make every independent in this country fucking hate you. I don't give a shit. I don't care. Raise the birth rate. I don't care. Send it. Send it. No balls. Send it. No balls. Do it. However, nothing in this act shall be construed to authorize the prosecution of any woman for the death of her unborn child. Oh, well, look at that. A humanitarian carve-out. How nice. Unironically, if they push this, it would be devastating. Oh, yeah, to be sure. It's not going to pass, by the way. You know, obviously. Like, if it passed, it would have to be signed into law by Joe Biden. It's not going to pass. It is funny, though, how hard they're committing to this, you know? Will this prosecute men for vasectomies? No. It would begin at the fertilization of the egg. Even though, again, philosophically, the distinction for what is or isn't a person is not settled science. It can't ever be settled science. It's not science. It's philosophy. No way it's getting past the Senate. It's not going anywhere. It's just a virtue signal. It's funny because at the same time, take a look at this. What with all the fuss in Alabama right now with regards to in vitro fertilization?
Trump now calling new. Let's start with some of this breaking news on this story. Former president.
Finally, a good jacket. Look at that. Nice round on the collar and lapel. Nice 3D form right there. Fits the shoulders properly. No collar gap. I like the color. Nice.
And GOP frontrunner Donald Trump now calling on the state of Alabama's lawmakers to protect IVF. We're also learning at the same time.
If you wore this with like a nice white polo or like a white button up with 2 buttons down and maybe like a handkerchief or a pocket square here that's kind of tussled, you know, and the gold chain, insane fit.
The Alabama Attorney General says he will not prosecute IVF providers or families. What do you make of those two developments?
Yeah, that there's no intent to prosecute there. Listen, there's a lot of action. There's a lot of movement on this story just in the last couple of hours, Zinkley. Let's start with the political piece of it, because you referenced former President Trump. There had been some, I think, discussion, some spotlight on him as to how he would respond.
The black shirt looks better. Well, personally, I think that a patterned Jesus, fuck, what am I saying? A patterned yellow camp collar shirt would look pretty good. But, you know, what do I know?
To this very controversial ruling in Alabama. We have already seen the response now, thanks to our own Ali Vitale from his opponent in the Republican primary race, Nikki Haley, a couple of days ago, saying that she believes also that an embryo is a life. Then later backtracking on some of those comments, suggesting that she agreed with Alabama's court decision. The former president is making clear, reading, I think, where the political winds are blowing here, that he would like to see the Alabama legislature now revisit this, which the legislature has said they intend to do, essentially. And what's interesting here is why the former president might be doing this here. You've already got today, for example, a memo out from the Senate Republican campaign arm. It's called the NRSC, telling candidates, essentially suggesting to candidates some of the talking points they may want to use as it relates to IVF, which is, as you know, widely, broadly supported, cutting across the political spectrum. And so there's sort of the political bucket in that as it relates to the former president. Then you have this other question, which is, as Laura has laid out in that piece there, in that story, the concern from these healthcare facilities that they could end up essentially on the hook.
The Trump
they could
part.
end up on the healthcare to implication act that reproductive energy November tweeting.
Do they not? I thought there was going to be a clip of him speaking. Former President Donald Trump voiced support for in vitro fertilization Friday, urging the Alabama legislature to reverse the effects of a recent state Supreme Court ruling that led some clinics to pause treatments. The Republican Party should always be on the side of the miracle of life and the side of mothers, fathers, and their beautiful babies, Trump wrote in a post on Truth Social that marked his first comment on a topic that has roiled the GOP this week. Like the overwhelming majority of Americans, including the vast majority of Republicans. I want to do it in his voice, but I'm misspeaking so much that I feel like I'd fuck it up, you know? The vast majority of Republicans, conservatives, Christians, and pro-life Americans, I strongly support the availability of IVF for couples who are trying to have a precious baby, calling on the Alabama legislature to act quickly to find an immediate solution to preserve the availability of IVF in Alabama. Huh. Nikki Haley struggled to define her position. In an interview with NBC News Wednesday, she said, "Embryos, to me, are babies." A very real position that real people have and don't just pretend to have. Wonderful. Hmm. Anyway, I think this segment has probably extended out beyond the its initial confines. End of democracy, lads. Very good. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I think Trump's demand to save IVF indicates the GOP knows it's cooked. Yeah, well, I think if nothing else, it's indicative of the fact that the GOP seems at least somewhat aware of how damaging this has been for them. They're, finally reaching the anti-abortion car, so to speak. It's not all grim, though. Good news? Yeah, if you can believe it. So you know how Alex Jones did the whole Sandy Hook conspiracy nonsense where he said that all the kids who were killed were fake and it was all a deep state plot to ban guns, and the banning guns never happened? The most significant piece of anti-gun legislation passed in recent memory was Donald Trump on the bump stock ban. Like that, like, again, like nothing's being done along those lines. Anyway, he was sued for a lot, 1.5 billion. That's all been done. That's been settled. So how do you get the money, right? Vosh, did we just find out he was right? They found out the kids were crisis actors. No. How do you get 1.5 billion? That is a lot of money. A plan was put forward, right? So how do you get 1.5 billion? Well, you could garnish his wages. You could, I don't know, you could ask him for a $1.20 every week, however you need to act to get it. Or alternative plan, you liquidate his estates. You just take everything he owns and you put it in a blender and you divide up everything that comes out. The families who sued Alex Jones were asked to vote on different plans for dealing with his wealth acquisition and bankruptcy. Alex Jones's creditors supported the liquidation plan. Of course they did. They're creditors. Obviously, they like the liquidation element. The families were asked to vote. Now, these are just regular families. I don't think they were. I don't think they're out here like looking for an opportunity to make Alex Jones suffer. Obviously, they didn't go ahead with the liquidation plan. I'm just kidding. They did. They totally did. It took them no time at all. The families immediately voted yes on the liquidation plan to put all of his assets in the blender like that. Took no time. Moving forward to a March hearing, which is very, very close. They're going to try to act this one through quick. It seems like he's well and properly cooked. We've seen so many examples of wealthy and powerful people, wave dash their way out of financial troubles. But this is a rough one. This is this is a big one. A vote in favor of the family's plan for Jones to sell everything required by law sets up a confirmation hearing before Judge Christopher Lopez. Ah, devastating for a judge of this surname to preside over your case, Alex Jones. In late March, where both sides will argue the merits of their plan to resolve Jones' debt to their families. Jones' attorneys have counteroffered a plan that would pay Sandy Hook families $55 million over 10 years. Nope. $55 million over 10 years? I'm sorry. That doesn't sound like $1.5 billion to me. I don't think so. You know perfectly well that if they go ahead with this plan, Alex Jones is just going to go online and beg for enough money to, like, fill this payment plan while trying to keep his little empire, you know? The vote in favor of the family's plan, recorded in court last Friday, also serves as a rejection of Jones' counteroffer, said Mark Bankston, an attorney who represented the parents of a slain Sandy Hook boy Jones defamed during a trial in Texas in 2022, where the jury awarded them $49 million. Does this mean there will be an auction where we could buy Alex Jones shit? Yes, actually. The mass liquidation of assets that happens after bankruptcy or on a court order usually means that big public auctions are held. Sometimes they're managed by the creditors and they like facilitate the whole thing. Sometimes they sell it off to specific people, but often they just have an open auction where you literally can just come by and buy things. So, you know, that's on you. It depends. It's a case-by-case thing. Although the vote represents progress toward a final resolution of Jones' debt to the Sandy Hook family members in Texas and Connecticut, it does not change the big picture that Jones will only pay a fraction of what he owes. The reason, if Jones sold everything, his assets would bring no more than $10 million, according to a liquidation analysis filed with the court. Filed by Jones? Because I don't believe that for a fucking second. We already know that Alex Jones has a tendency to hide assets and wealth through his business and his family members. His business is literally owned by his father, isn't it? By his parents? I don't know if I buy that. Once expenses are covered and lawyers are paid, between $3 and $4 million would be left for the families, the analysis says. Okay, filed with the court, not filed by the court. I'm pretty sure this article is being deceptive. Wouldn't you want to indicate that this liquidation analysis was presented by a person whose vested interest is in hiding how much money he has from the court, a thing he's already known to do? Wouldn't it otherwise say filed by the court? Is it AI? Everything's AI. Once expenses are covered and lawyers are paid, between $3 and $4 million, blah, blah. At the same time, Jones' attorneys have filed appeals of the 2022 defamation awards in Texas and Connecticut, which must be concluded before the bankruptcy case and Jones' debt to the family is resolved. Nice. Hold on one second. Alex Jones trial court liquidation analysis. Okay, the first thing that pops up is this article we're looking at right here. Some other articles. What was the number they provided? 10 million, right? So any article should say 10 million to describe, but it's not here. It's not here. It's not here. I have no idea where that article got the liquidation analysis number from. I don't see it in any of the other. I'm looking for like relevant keywords. I don't see. You'd think that would be like a big mention. Like if they did a liquidation analysis provided to the court, you'd think they would. Okay, well, since maybe that was made up. Maybe that was made up. Maybe that's an AI article. Who the fuck knows? Journalism isn't real anymore. Like it's not mentioned in Bloomberg Law. It's not mentioned in the NPR article. You know, maybe it's literally just News Times, fucking AI sources. It's shit. And real, like, the places where journalists actually write, you know, for all of its faults, Bloomberg or NPR, presumably has, like, real authors. Yeah, the 5.5 million over 10 years is accurate, but not the liquidation analysis, you know? You'd think that would be mentioned. It's a pretty big deal. AI sucks. Yeah. Yeah, I'm pretty sure this is all. I think this site scrapes a lot of AI. Yeah, look at this. In-depth coverage. Moose Man shares his encounters with the animals in Connecticut. Connecticut lawmakers want 3.3 million more for reproductive services. This is all like Connecticut specific? Is that so News Times is a Connecticut thing? Okay, that's cool. I don't know. Maybe I'm being cynical. Here are 9 new Connecticut restaurants to check out in March. I don't know. Would a human want to write an article called that? Whatever. I don't know. Whatever the case is, liquidation. We have to talk about the Aaron in the Morn thing. Does the author have a normal number of articles, or do they post multiple times a day? One of the big reasons that things are going this way is because of the internet and the fact that people tend to access the information they look for based on keyword searches. They want like immediate results, which means you want to put out articles quickly. Nobody has any reason to stick with any specific like local newspaper or anything like that, because for the most part, all of the stuff put on any website is like interchangeable slop that's put out as quickly as possible to mirror the same content that's being covered everywhere else because they want to maximize clicks. And a lot of people only look for that, which means there's no reason for them to stick with any specific thing. It's like it's like a circular process that makes everything worse. We covered that yesterday, Skynet 1. Found it, Vosh? Oh, wait, did you find it? Did you find anything describing the liquidation analysis? This article doesn't mention the liquidation analysis. Why'd you link this, Renio? The liquidation analysis was something presented by Alex Jones' lawyers to make the argument that he didn't have anything to liquidate. It's not just an acknowledgement of liquidation. This doesn't mention it. I'm pretty sure that AI wrote that article and it literally just like made that up or something. I don't know. I don't know. Sorry, but I can't respond to that query. I need to start answering with that when chat asks me something stupid. I'm going to read donos, then we're going to do the Aaron in the Morn thing. All right. Sensuous Psychosis, thanks to $5. What would you say to someone to convince them that... what would you say and try to convince of someone who thinks we should finish exploring all of Earth's unknowns, mainly oceans, before exploring any more of space? This isn't an RPG. We're not doing map completion here. Like, we explore things that are interesting to us. The bottom of the ocean is almost impossible to access. It's very difficult to get down to. And we also know a lot of what's down there. Well, we don't know a lot of what's down there in the sense of like topography or whatever, but we understand the kinds of like mineral resources we can find. Like, there's not really a future for humanity in having a like Mariana Trench base for useful resources. The moon, however, very useful staging ground. And there are a lot of things on the moon that you just can't get on Earth. A lot of cool stuff you can do over there. up in space. It's a springboard to space, too, whereas the bottom of the ocean is the bottom of the ocean. So heavy down there, yeah. There is water on the bottom of the ocean. That's true. A rare discovery of liquid water down there in the bottom of the ocean. That's gonna happen, Tempest. I support it. I just want it done well. Helium-3. Yeah, helium-3. A lot of cool radiation stuff happening over there. Azzy the Avaricious, thank you for the $5. As a depressed person with no food in my house right now, going out of my way to make shrimp Alfredo from scratch was a genuine milestone in my life. I love cooking now. I'm really happy to hear that. A proper dungeon meshy moment, if as it were. I'm really happy to hear that. Senua Psychosis? Wait, I just read that one. Thank you. Windleby Dazzler, thank you for the tier 1 sub. Got jump scared by your narration in Chariot's new video on the narrative in the Dark Souls series, which people should check out. Yes! I did some voicing in the Chariot video a while back. I recommend people take a look at it. There are resources available at the bottom of the ocean. I'm not saying there aren't. I'm just saying that in overall, there is a lot of useful shit to do in the moon. And it's not mutually exclusive. There's a lot of interesting tech you can get from trying out space travel. Stuff like that often happens. Twizzens, thank you for the $5. Rainbow, thank you likewise. Food, Vosh is right. Can't cook for shit, but for a few days I've been frying rice with a mix of stuff pre-prepared all together in one pan. I feel proud. Yeah, this is like the ultimate cooking recipe everyone needs to learn. It's called the everything pot, okay? You can literally just get like a big cheap like metal rounded pan and then just like put a fuck ton of stuff in there. Like a wok, but you don't have to literally get a wok. It just has to be like a big, bunch of rice and fucking chop up some meat and cook that in there and you can do so much and then it's just delicious and you have like 5 days of food, Senua Psychos, the $5. After when you send us to another stream with us, I recommend Dharamgaria again, who just started a stream and chat needs to learn more cooking skills. Good point. Good point. That would be fitting. Tiger Fox King at the tier 1 sub. Thank you for the video on truffle tastes. I'll have to watch that later, though, I'm afraid. Clownstein, thank you for the $5. Really appreciate that. Vosh, for your own sake, play Metal Gear and Metal Gear 2 before you play Metal Gear Solid. I almost certainly won't. I appreciate the offer, but that's very unlikely to happen. Alex Mex90 and Steph's Not Fluffy, thank you for the tier 1 subs. I really appreciate that. Wabbajack, thank you for the $5. Jamaican coconut rice. Use canned coconut milk instead of water in your rice maker. Yeah. Oh, you can flavor your rice too. All you have to add is a little bit of lime juice and what's the herb that you put in to make like that fresh like Mexican rice? A little bit of butter, a little bit of lime juice, and the little green herb that you see in the Mexican rice. Cilantro. Yeah, cilantro. Really, really good. Call me waifu, 666. Thank you for the $5. When it comes down to food, nutrition, and exercise, everyone acts like everyone is a disabled person with no access to nutrition foods. Yep. It's everyone's lazy ass fucking go-to, where it's like, fully well that the vast majority of the population is capable of doing all the things you're talking about, but then suddenly everyone in chat is like, because you're talking for other people, Like you think having mild back pain means your disability like prevents you from being able to fucking cook rice or something? Like, yeah, God. People there's so much learned helplessness, especially in the fucking online left, man. Okay, but I hate beans. Insane. And you can't just eat rice? Yeah, you can. You just flavor the rice. Just a little bit of butter, a teensy bit of salt, some pepper, preferably white pepper, but black pepper is fine. And some lime juice. And yeah, you can have like a delicious full thing of rice. You can add a bit of cheese on top if you want some protein and fat, too. You want to balance out your macros. Sake Tanuki with the incredibly kind 10 tier 1 subs. Be right back. Gonna go rip one in the DSA Fresh Breeze room. Yeah, that'll learn them. That'll wisen them up a little bit. Fizzy Dam, thank you for the 5 tier 2 subs. That's really kind of you. Turned 30 yesterday. Didn't think I'd make it this far for a long time, but I did. And some of that is because of your advice and streams. Thank you, Vosh. Thank you. I'm really happy to know that I could help in any way. Seriously, that's really, really kind of you. And a happy birthday as well. Baran and Dumb Bunny, thank you for the $5 both. I really appreciate that. Mati Tiahu with the tier 1 sub. I think your museum takes were bad, but I forgive you. You have some money. Oh, don't get chat started on that shit again. You can watch the damn episode of theirs if you want, like, an informed opinion on it. I said multiple times I'm not an expert on the subject. Museum's bad? Yeah, sure, that's what I said. Just go with that. Matthew McConaughey 666, thank you for the $10. As a Brazilian American who eats rice, beans, and a meaty protein almost every day, Chad is coping. Rice and beans is delicious, and stop coping. I think something has to be wrong with somebody to not like those foods. I don't get it. God. Strange Plains 25, thanks for the $5. When we build bases on the moon, does that mean I can finally try eating some moon cheese? Yeah, you can get it here on Earth too if you know where to look. You know, I'm not giving my sources away. I'm just saying. Rippy, thank you for the $5. No context memes here, friend. Sorry. Nyan Ru, thank you for the tier 1 sub. Really appreciate that. Fantasy Jorts, the $10. Wife of the sex chart guy needs to turn in her chart of time she came during sex versus his to explain her lack of enthusiasm. A fair explainer, to be sure, yeah. Got to keep that going, too. Luna Mraz, thank you for the insanely kind $25 and then $10 donation. Hey, when I was younger, all I used to drink was water, and now even though I can drink others, I always choose water when I'm actually thirsty, never soda. Okay, let that be the rule. If you are thirsty, let water be your drink. If you want something like tasty as part of a meal or whatever, you can have something else, you know? Or I guess if it's a really hot summer's day and you have lemonade, I don't know, make that the exception. But like, thirst should be quenched with water. If you want a tasty drink otherwise, like, I don't have a cocktail because I'm thirsty. I have it because I want to be drunk. I drink water if I'm thirsty. By the way, glad to see you back, and I hope you're having a good day. Hopefully my lazy cat will make your day a little bit better. Lazy cats always make my day a little bit better, as a matter of fact. Ooh. Wah. Little friend. Meh. Man, dog and cat fur is so different. I know it varies between dogs and cats, but still, on average, I mean. Lazy. EP. Thank you. None of the fun. Thank you for the 10 tier 1 subs. Mocking, JK, the other person who posted their Berserk shelf with my own. Oh shit, we're getting competing Berserk shelves. Hey! Not only a Berserk shelf, but you have Bottling Sunshine art here. Wow. Okay, yeah. That's a damn good shelf. You know, it's not a competition, but that's a damn good shelf. God damn. You know, I'm pretty sure that Conyer has both of these paintings right here of the wasp lady. That is real nice looking. And, you know, it's future-proof, too, because we know there aren't going to be any more Berserk volumes. I'm kidding. I'm just being morose. Thank you. I really appreciate that. You have a phenomenal aesthetic sense. Plan of mine, thank you for the $5. I don't think anybody would want Alex Jones organs. Dizzy Rat, thank you for the $5. Would you ever consider having people on stream to teach chat simple recipes? I can't trust people for shit, sorry. If I want to give chat simple recipes, I want to say them. What matters isn't the information. What matters is how it's delivered anyway. You know, it's not like I'm not qualified to explain how to press the on button on a rice cooker. It's more about motivational speaking, and I can do that better than most people, I imagine. Antifa Private 161 of the 3 tier 1 subs. Vosh, have you considered making cooking and exercise streams / videos to teach basic life skills? Okay, I don't cook that much is the thing. I'm just talking about like very basic, like having staple foods. And I don't exercise that much. I haven't exercised in years. I don't have a flat washboard stomach. You know? I feel like if I were to get in that direct, like, let me put it this way, okay? Over the course of the past, like, 5 or 6 months, I have probably developed a better understanding of some kinds of fashion than the vast majority of people, and I still don't feel comfortable giving, like, fashion advice. You know what I mean? Like, because it's such a big world and there's still so much to learn. So I know nothing. Well, I don't know nothing about cooking, but not a lot, and it's been ages since I've exercised. I feel like this is one of those things where I would have to I'd have to be able to demonstrate like a much stronger expertise on the topic, you know? No, Sable. My stomach is getting pretty damn flat by my standards, though. I'll say that much. Here, there are still some donos, but let me, gotta do the errand in the morning thing. Vosh, is there legitimacy in not finding the time between working a 9 to 5 and getting a proper amount of sleep on top of proper hygiene and other chores to do, such as... Wait, not finding enough time to do what? Steph's not fluffy. If the thing you're getting at here is cooking, then no, there's no excuse. You can always make the damn rice, okay? You put it in and you press the button. For beans or chili or anything like canned, you have a pot, and then 2 minutes later, it's hot enough. Add your spices. It's not like you're even saving any time, really, by ordering food, right? Like, I swear to God, in the time it takes to make rice and beans, like, in terms of, like, actual invested time, not just waiting for the rice to finish, because you can do other stuff while the rice is being, is finishing. In the time it takes to do that, that's not that different from the time it takes for you to go downstairs to, like, get the delivery from your door and then, like, go up to your apartment and then go back in and then, like, unwrap everything. Like, that's about the same amount of time, and it's so much cheaper, you know? It just takes a little bit of initial investment. Just like you can order it off Amazon. Order like a big pallet of rice. I'm not joking. Order like a bit, like I like Calrose medium grain rice. That's my favorite rice. That's what I recommend. It's a little pricier than regular rice, but only by a tiny bit. I've always had it. Just order like a big thing of it and a bunch of canned beans in bulk or whatever. You can usually get them from a food kitchen if you want, and just stack them in the corner or whatever. And then you like that. And then, like, if ever it's like, fuck, man, I'm busy, I'm tired. Like, okay, but I've got like 5 minutes. You can make enough food for like 5 days. Just get some Tupperware, just some basic Tupperware, rice and beans. Yeah, throw it in there. You just got to microwave it in the future. It's all good. Ramen, noodles, there's so many good staple foods. Potatoes are great staple foods, but they do go bad, of course, whereas like dried pasta, canned beans, and dried rice can stay around forever. Vosh, you forget most white people don't own rice cookers. You can get them pretty easy and cheap. You can put it in like a plastic tub, Nikolai Prime. Chad needs to buy a crock pot. Yeah, no kidding. I think maybe people don't hate the cooking part. It's the cleaning after the fact. But I'm only describing like dirtying one dish, which is the pot you need to heat up the stuff, right? A rice cooker pot is insanely easy to clean because the only thing in it is rice. Like, it's not like that's super easy. You can just and you're good. And just soak like the pot after you cook the beans in it, and you're good. Use a paper bowl if you want. I don't fucking care. It's good, Tempest. All right, sorry, got distracted. As I often do. Oh yeah, Vosh, what about the spoon? Spoons take no effort whatsoever to clean. You know? The utensils are like so easy to clean that it's almost fun. Like cleaning a dish or a bowl or a cup can be pretty annoying because you have to like work around the like interior curve where there's a lot of space. But with a spoon, it's like it's literally like that. Like it's like literally right fucking there. You know, it's like insanely easy clean. You know. Just make sure to rinse your shit or put it in like a water bowl after you use it so it's really easy to clean afterwards and nothing gets like stuck to it. I've made myself really hungry. Brown rice is way better for your heart than white rice. I don't know how true that is. I think brown rice has some... I think there are some vitamins in it that aren't in white rice, but I don't know how significant the difference is. I think that brown rice is tastier in a lot of cases, but I don't think it's as versatile as white rice. White rice can be done with, like, anything. Brown rice wouldn't work with some stuff. Like brown rice is really good in some wraps and burritos, but I don't know if I would want it with like default rice and beans mix up, you know? It has more fiber and that's it. Well, you do want fiber. I love quinoa. I love quinoa. You know, I've actually made myself so hungry that I'm actually getting distracted from this segment. That's crazy, you know? And here I was saying earlier that I don't mind being hungry that much. It's really coming back to bite me right now. I'm really getting got, you know? Look, I've been meaning to talk about this for at least a day now. So, as we know, Republicans don't care about governance. They don't care about running the country. As bad as the Democrats are in a lot of cases, they are, at the very least, competent bureaucrats. I think that for the most part, the Democrats are interested in, you know, maintaining the artifice, right? They want to keep the lights on. Republicans don't care. So, we have now a letter from the House Freedom Caucus of the GOP threatening government shutdown. Congress is in session just 3 days before a partial government shutdown begins on the 1st of March. We need lower spending levels and real policy wins. Let's take a look at some of these policy wins they're hinging their, their support for a budget bill on. Let's go. The House Republican Conference's significant work on appropriations for fiscal year 2024 resulted in 10 of 12 bills passed out of committee, 7 sent to the Senate, with hundreds of amendments considered and adopted. This has not happened in many years. Cool. While far from perfect, the bills spent at or below the actual text of the Fiscal Responsibility Act offered a meaningful step toward restoring regular order and presented an opportunity to reduce spending and reverse many of President Biden's harmful policies. Da-da-da. We request an update on the appropriations negotiations, including but not limited to the provisions supported by overwhelming majorities of Republicans and our constituents, such as language to prohibit funding for use of CBP-1 or similar applications that facilitate the parole of millions of illegal aliens into the United States. Reducing Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas' salary to $0. That's it. I'm not kidding. The House Freedom Caucus is literally saying, like, we should consider holding up funding the government unless we're able to secure these wins as well, such as this guy we don't like should make $0. Yeah, a very serious party with very serious, real policy wins. Defund the Pentagon's illegal abortion travel fund. Prohibit funding for the implementation of gun registries and red flag laws. Defund ATF rules such as pistol brace, blah, blah. Defund gender transition surgeries or gender-affirming care paid by taxpayer dollars. Block Biden's attempts to dismantle, demolish, remove, or damage existing border wall. Defund Biden's radical Green New Deal, the thing that never actually happened, that was proposed years ago, that never actually happened. It goes on for a while. Prohibit funding for diversity, equity, and inclusion. Defund Anthony Fauci's gain-of-function research. What? Prohibit rules requiring biological boys to be allowed to compete against girls. Defund anti-American international organizations such as the World Health Organization. Eliminate funding to the anti-Israel United Nations Relief and Works Agency that funds Hamas and enemies of Israel. Prohibit purchases of American farmland by our adversaries like China. Prohibit funding, blah, 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 blah. Okay, there's a point to be made here about compromise. So the House Freedom Caucus represents a portion of the Republicans in the House. You know, we can see signatures here. There's Lowen Boebert right there, Andrew Clyde, Jeff Duncan, Paul Gosar, that's the friend of Nick Fuentes. You know, many highly reputable individuals. Scott Perry, Barry Moore, Tom Tiffany, one of the funniest names in the House, I would say. Lots of handwriting on display here. Lots of interesting stuff. What's your favorite signature? Lauren Boebert's signature, funnily enough, looks like the Disney logo, like with the very neat writing, but like the giant swoops on the capitals. You know, it's very, very funny there. I think I sympathize most with the signature of Scott Desjarlis right here, if that's how you pronounce it. It probably isn't, which is like it just looks like a dickhead. You know. What else here looks good? I like Troy Nels as well. Right here. That's pretty good. That's about how I write. Me for real? Yeah, me for real. The 7 Nels, you know. 7 evil Nels you have to defeat to get your girlfriend. Right. So anyway, this House caucus is essentially saying, you know, we, the Republicans, have the ability to once again throw a wrench into the gears and cogs of the American government by preventing a spending expansion before the partial government shutdown, right? So what wins do we want to secure? You know, what do we want to extract from the Democrats, you know, while they're in a position where they feel the need to compromise? And the things that they have advocated for, which, you know, demonstrate such a substantial and sincere interest in the well-being of the average American, is shit like ban gender transition, defund Alejandro Mayorkas, specifically defund the ATF, blah, blah, blah. You know, this is basically just like a shotgun spread of stupid Republican culture war talking points. Like this is just like a like, hey, what can we get them to concede on? You know what I mean? It's just like it's not very serious, But I think it stands as an extremely strong reminder of how fucking futile compromise and bipartisanship with the Republicans are. Remember how just like 2 weeks ago, Biden did his master strategy of, oh, the governor of Texas is like openly defying me in a Supreme Court ruling by blocking federal agents from accessing the border and putting up like barbed wire fences and stuff. I'll respond to this situation by doing nothing and proposing a very far-right immigration bill, and then when they vote no on it, because they always vote no on stuff I propose, that means they're hypocrites. Not a great environment for trying to get along. How many people are part of the House Freedom Caucus? It's like a lot of them. How many? 43 out of 435, a full 10% of the House of Representatives. The whole point of this is to shut down the government to trigger a recession and blame Biden for it. Yeah, well, shutting down the government wouldn't really trigger a recession. It would just cause like a bunch of broad issues, yeah. But yes, fundamentally, yes. It's fully a fifth of the Republicans in the House. By comparison, the Justice Dems are a lot weaker. This is like the opposite of the Justice Dems, I think. You know, kind of a rough comparison, but that's the... How many is the Justice Dems? Justice Dems are... Oh, God, yeah, I forgot, man. 12! The Justice Dems are 12 people. So that's cool. I think it was 20 at one point, but they got rocked in 2022. Yeah. They've been around for longer than Trump. Well, they I can't talk. They originated mid-January 2015. During the crisis over the funding of the DHS in early 2015, the caucus offered 4 plans for resolution, but all were rejected by Republican leadership. The Freedom Caucus they emerged into existence at around the same time as Trump for the same reasons that Trump did, with the same rough goals as Trump. You know, you can think of it, I guess, as the more like radical MAGA side of things on the House GOP. They have a lot of rabble rousers. Not all of them are very politically effective, but yeah, I don't know. As always, Aaron Reed did a wonderful job covering all of this in her article. I just didn't want to denigrate it by just reading it out loud. What is this?
You sent your representative to Washington to work on behalf of everyday Americans like you. But House Republicans spent the summer trying to divide us and failing to pass essential spending bills. Instead, they're trying to limit the health care you and your family can access, ban books and flags, and block enforcement of civil rights laws, all while risking the government grinding to a halt. Tell Congress to reject the politics of hate.
The annoying thing about ads like this is that ads that sound like this, I register them as propaganda and think they're lying to me. But they're not lying here. This is completely correct. This is a straightforwardly correct statement, you know? Increasingly, Democrats and LGBTQ+ organizations have applied pressure on the Biden admin and Democrat leadership to not accept any deal that includes anti-LGBTQ+ riders. In a letter signed by 163 Democratic members of Congress, they state that bans on gender-affirming care, pride flags, DEI initiatives, and discrimination should not be on the table for negotiation, supported by the Human Rights Campaign. Well, that's good to know. Do we have the signatures? Yeah, there we go. Yeah, look, more signatures here than the GOP Freedom Caucus had. Look at that. Any especially distinctive signatures here? Is there anything here that I can just at a glance? Dean Phillips, this is a king signature right here. Gregorio Kilili Camacho over here. I like that. Is this meant to be Kilili, right? Like the middle, because like Kilili with the dots, right? I like that. I like that a lot. That's very like you know, I don't know, symbolic. This one looks like they're throwing up the horns. That's pretty cool. Like looking at signatures. And back up to the top. In addition to the riders listed above, several FY24 funding bills have additional anti-queer riders, including but not limited to a rider to defund the offices of special envoys, including those to advance the human rights of queer persons, a rider to prohibit federal funds for any international organization that promotes transgenderism, Department of Health and Human Services, Department of Education again, would force institutions of higher education to allow students. Guys, they really want you dead. Like, dude, being a Democrat in Congress right now is just reading through like 16 riders and amendments proposed by your Republican colleagues every day, where it's like, yeah, we'll pass a bill that allows us to take the next sip of water that we need to live, but only if we can also, you know, reenact like anti-sodomy laws, you know, whatever. We urge you to stand with the queer community, reject any attempts to include anti-queer provisions in any final fiscal year 24 government funding deal. Well, hopefully it keeps, though it is likely that'll keep. I doubt Joe Biden will sign off on anything like that. Grim, no? Like I said, guys, it's mostly been bad news lately. Though it is nice that there are so many Democrats pushing back against it. I don't even know what chat's going on about. Whatever, good luck to you. Let me finish these donos. Rainbow with the $5. I just finished cooking. I literally don't know what I'm doing, but it tastes nice. Throw shit in a pan, chat. True. You know, the first rule of making fried rice is to have fun with it, I would say. Hey, that's me! Hell yeah. Lol, internet lol, your essay posting got archived. Jay McGrath, thank you for the tier 1 sub. Dave the Vader, thank you for the $5. While you were reading donos, I made some rice, peas, Maltaschen, German ravioli, and a nice mushroom sauce, all for the same net price as half a pizza. Nice, I hope it's good. Sake with the 5 tier 1 subs. Tempest Ryan put this in before every segment from the stream. Thoughts on Clarence Thomas John Oliver offer? I don't know about it. I haven't seen it yet. I haven't seen that bit. I've heard people talk about it, but I'm afraid I haven't seen it, so I can't really comment. I've been busy the past few weeks, I'm afraid. Can you warn people about reheated rice syndrome? I would if I knew what it was. What is that? What are you referring to? Googled it. It can kill you. You can get food poisoning from eating rehydrated rice or reheated rice. However, it's not the reheating that causes the problem, but the way the rice has been stored before it's reheating. Uncooked rice can contain spores of Bacillus cereus, bacteria that can cause food poisoning. The spores can survive when rice is cooked. If rice is left standing at room temperature, the spores can grow into bacteria. Those bacteria will multiply and produce toxins that can cause... Oh, this is very prescient, because I actually had a giant thing of, like, definitely not good rice the other day. It tasted kind of funny, but after I made it with the chili, like, the chili tasted good, so I didn't mind. It had been standing in, like, the rice cooker for, like, 5 days. What is at room temperature? Because it's kept hot. Serve rice as soon as it's been cooked. If that's not possible, cool the rice as quickly as possible, ideally within 1 hour. Keep rice in the fridge for no more than 1 day until reheating. When you reheat rice, always check it's steaming hot all the way through. Don't reheat rice more than much. Yeah, this sounds like liberal bullshit to me. Do whatever you want. Like, that was from the NHS, but what the fuck do they know? Exactly. It's always two dumb, hungry bitches telling each other. Exactly, exactly. Fleabag Kitty 404, thanks the $5. Sorry for spooking you. Dalton Donahue, thanks the 5. Vosh, the recommended amount of sugar is like 4 to 6 milligrams a day, and the average American eats at least 44 milligrams a day. It is in everything now. Yeah, definitely more accessible than it used to be. Insanity, thank you for the $10. Me in my car, a chef of 20 years, yelling, "A pint is 2 cups, you fools." Yeah, but nobody knows what a cup is. Nobody knows what a cup or a pint. Nobody knows what any of this means. Cup, pint, gallon. Nobody knows. Nobody has any idea. No one has any clue. Old school list. Thank you for the $5. There's no group on earth better at ceding ground to their enemy than the Dems. Why can't we have the Dems that exist in the minds of the right? Even like Midwestern Democrats or the Democrats that existed back in like the 1970s or fucking like anything. I blame Clinton. Panacea Pan, thank you for the 5. Started cooking when I moved out of my parents' house and honestly I loved it. I wouldn't be able to live without my salt, pepper, and chili powder. Yeah, it's great. You can make... It's worth investing in the spices, folks. You know, you can liven up 1,000 meals with them. All right, folks. Yeah, I'm hungry as shit. Also, in spite of all the rambling, we did a lot of segments today. It felt like we didn't because they were shorter, but it was also because we weren't really going over videos because that's usually the one that takes longer. Oh, well, more stuff to cover in the future. Vibrant Pico, thank you for the $5. You ate rice that was sitting in a warm, damp environment for 5 days. Go fight millennia because you have scarlet rot resistance. True. Look, okay, it's a matter of strength, all right? I have simply developed the gut bacteria to process that bacteria, you know? It's a skill issue. I don't know what to tell you guys. I'm sorry. I've talked about it, Taser Pagan. Most racist Senate hearing I've ever heard. That's the video name on YouTube. Sake, thank you for the 5 tier 1 subs. I can't recommend Korean pancake, even in mixed form enough. Put your veggies in there and sprinkle in MSG for that animal suffering deliciousness. Is MSG made from animal product? I have no idea what MSG actually is, to be honest. Like simulating animal suffering. No, it just tastes good? Oh, okay. It's salt on steroids. Wasn't there like a huge health panic about MSG that was kind of racist? Because MSG is literally just like a salty food thing. Like it's not harmful at all, but it was like this weird obsession that like MSG was this like Eastern chemical thing that would hurt you or whatever. Yeah. It was 100% racist and not based in science. Yeah. I didn't know there was any race thing attached. It's heavily associated with China, MSG. Rebecca Watson made a good video on it. Oh, okay. Maybe I'll check that out. Anthony Bourdain thought the fear was bullshit. Well, fuck. All right, folks. Sorry, I'm so hungry that I'm sitting here and I'm just thinking of pancakes now. Anyway, I really enjoyed the stream, guys. Thank you very much. Someone earlier suggested that I rate Dharamgarhia. Let me see if they're they are. Hopefully, Dharamgarhia doesn't interpret my raid as some kind of threat. My impression is that Dara is quite nice, so I don't want to, like, you know, something I have to worry about. I've always had to worry about it, but now I have to worry about it even more. me see. There we go. All right. See you guys later.